And explain to me, please, we pay, $249 each for the toner and 2 worm plats, whatever they are.
Platters, those are the CD, they're really the CD. They hold, I don't know how many megabytes or whatever on them.
Okay.
They're
The
Go
rest of my question is, and I don't understand this, why do we need this stuff? Can't we store stuff on microfilm or discs or something that eliminates the expense of this toner?
This toner is for the permanent record. We do hard copy as well as put them into the computer system. This is for...
So my question is, why doesn't a microfilm do the same thing that
For storage?
for whatever?
Do you know how many, do you want to see what the storage on the microfilm is? I fill up a whole wall in there with my rolls, okay?
And what happens with what we have here? Is it smaller than the
I have
microfilm?
hard copy, and what we're talking here is in a CD, this size.
Okay,
But we've got umpteen years that make up that from 1840 forward. These are things that we've all been working on. We have all of this stuff on all the same media.
Okay.
And we've done that, and we should be proud of that, that all our records are available both on the computers and in hard copy from 1840 to today.
So they're all up to date?
Absolutely, every last book. There isn't another one left.
Okay.
It's all been done with the best technology that's out there and the best people making those adjustments to give it the best quality. So, but we are required to keep it off-site as well in case there was a really natural disaster, that it would be protected and not gone for all times should a bomb fall through this building.
Okay. Can we move on?
sure.
Other fees and services, you got $1.
We just leave the line open in case something
Volume
came up.
covers and paper is the same amount that you
Yeah.
asked for.
Yes, I think it is.
And in 2013, you were at 4,100.
What?
And again, the figure for 9/30/14 only shows 1,300.
Wait a minute.
But you know you
David.
purchased more than that.
Excuse me, David, I understood you to read volume covers and
Oh,
paper.
I'm sorry. I'm
And then
sorry.
you're giving us the
You're right.
figures for
You're right.
office supplies.
You're correct.
We're on 35, are we?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I actually went over my budget on that line item by a minuscule amount. As you can see, minuscule.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that was archival paper.
Okay.
And that's why you see why the figure has changed.
Any questions on that item? Office supplies?
That's the one that's remained the same.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, dues, licenses, and subscription?
I left that alone. I can't guarantee that the next register won't want to join national associations or whatever, but they'll have to fight for their own. I've got along without them.
Postage?
I had to up that $300 because at the beginning of the year, we bought 3,000 forever stamps, and I've made up for what we used in trying to be proactive this year, but, I'm just allowing for the extra penny for the stamps.
Okay.
Most of the money that is spent out in postage is collected for fees, whether they buy copies or they record documents. We collect for that at the time, but we have, our
Mhm.
bills, of course, do not include the postage, and neither do the materials that we are allowed,
What about 039, book maintenance and paper? You got $1 in there?
well, you
It's
know
all-
why?
all
Because we
done.
have finished the project,
Okay.
okay?
Meals, telephone,
Same,
same
I didn't
amount?
touch it.
But you've never spent that amount.
Well, let me tell you what's happened. Now, you can get a better explanation from Catherine, but we pay, we have a telephone system, obviously, we have that, but we also, under that line item, was my internet access, and which was $80 a month. I think it was 80. Or it's 81 or something like that. But anyway, we were not billed for mine, and we don't know why. She's called. They've told her, no, this is the bill. I'm afraid they're gonna come back and want that, because we have been paying that money all along. And I don't understand why we're not being billed for it. We're certainly using it.
Under the IT budget, that money may come out of there?
I don't think we were in the IT as far as our internet.
Internet
We have our
access.
own, we have our own. We had to do that. We were getting bumped off our material transfers to Fiddler at night in
Mm.
Exeter and gets reformulated, so it's back to us
Yeah.
in the morning.
All
And
right.
we couldn't afford to have that happen, so we have had our own, I don't know whether you call it a module, whatever it is. We have our own, in our own office.
Index contract,
Same.
all right, travel expense,
I left that alone. Again, I will point out that I pick up the mail in the morning because it's on my way, and I also pick it up for the business office. And I don't charge the county for that mileage. I do make an afternoon run at 4:00, but since I come back to work, I charge for that one trip only a day.
Mhm.
Sometimes I go back twice because the mail isn't sorted. I don't put that in. I've not charged for my bank trips, which is about once a week. Since we went to the electronic banking, I only have to go when we have cash over $350. So it averages out to maybe once a week. So I have not done that. I do belong to the New Hampshire Register Association, and we have meetings pretty much, it's either monthly or every other month. I will be going to the convention, but I will only be going for the day. So it'd be my mileage up to Wakefield and back. But basically, I've been very cheap on travel. But I don't know. In the past, we had staff that was doing that, and they got paid both ways.
Okay.
So I think while I haven't spent it, I think you need to leave it alone for allowing for the next change of rain.
Your two figures for microfilming and printer are different.
Where are we? Number 79?
Yeah,
This,
you got 1609 on your
I see it on there.
itemized, and you got 1400 on your budget.
To 79.
You gonna be able to do it for the same price?
Yeah. Oh, I see the error. I see the error. We're only getting two. She didn't change the Mylar hangers. There's only two Mylar hangers at 105, because they've gone up. Let me just see what my figure, oh, I don't have my backup. But I think it's 2 at 105. And so that number on the bottom, that would only change that one. Roller paper, I think I cut down to 15. I'm sorry, you have misinformation on this line item. The right figure is the 1,400.
1,400 is the
Yeah.
right figure?
Is the right figure. Now, this year, we didn't order the tourniquet because in March, all our computers and scanners and so forth are part of our Fiddler contract, and they renew them when they feel their life is at its maximum, or that there is a better product out there. They have already told us that probably by March we will have a different plan scanner.
All right.
And so we didn't buy the tourniquet this year. I have to leave it in because it will not use the same kind of toner. They don't know what the cartridges will be different, so we're just not using that this year at all. But it will be, and that's why I wanted to show you that that's why you're not seeing it down as having been spent.
Okay, under office machines,
Nothing.
$1.
The typewriters are obsolete.
fax machine expense,
That is, we don't have any maintenance service on that now because we just pay the telephone service for fax. We have a separate bill for the fax phone. And last year, or the year before, we saved money on the maintenance of the fax by having it put right into our into our copier. So there's only one maintenance fee for the two combined.
okay. Commissioner?
Yes, amortizing that out, 563 is $186 a month. No, $62 a month,
Yeah.
which comes out to about $700, and yet you boosted it to 1,000. Why?
I don't see these bills. I do not see my phone bill. I do not see my fax bill. And I do not see
So where'd you get that
those
figure?
bills go right from Fairpoint to Catherine. I left the figures from last year because I had nothing else to go by, especially when we were dealing with the internet connection.
Well, again, we got the same situation. I mean, in 9 months, we've spent $563. That's $62 a month. That's, what,
If it's gone down,
$186 for the 3 remaining months. That brings it to $700 and something, and you carrying $1,000.
Well, then, I need to know what those rates are, and I don't know that all of those,
Why don't we make it $800?
because I'm not sure that that's the figure.
But is it better than 1,000?
No, I don't know. I used to get the bills and sign them. I don't see them anymore, because Fairpoint and the county were in such a row that at one point, and this goes back maybe 3-4 years, that it took a long time for that to get ironed out. I don't know that that's my specific cost. I'm sure if you ask Catherine,
Is that
these
Kathy?
were-
Does it go to Kathy
Catherine,
Armstrong?
yes.
All right.
You
Commissioner,
can,
check
you
with
can
Kathy
talk to
Armstrong.
her about
Okay.
the fax bill, you can talk to her about the phone bill, and maybe she can explain to you about my internet connection. We've talked to each other about it, but I
Okay.
am not making myself clear to you, because I don't understand the whole.
Well, I'm just looking at what it says have been paid for 9 months. That's all we have to go on.
Again, I can't say that everything was posted either, depends on when she gets her bills and when they're paid.
Okay, we zeroed out the document copier expense. And we're now on 089, customer copier expense.
Yes. We have a 2001 13-year-old copier, which I would like to be replaced. Now, the replacement of that is considered equipment for the registry and can be paid for out of the 97 account. What comes in on here is the maintenance contract.
Okay.
So I'll discuss you see at the bottom, I've said, if I get approved to spend and purchase another copier, then that will be paid for out of the 97 account.
Okay. But you have to put it in the budget.
I have to put it in the budget, but you'll see it under the 97 line. The maintenance is over here. What I did is I took the previous year, the maintenance for that copier was $670. The maintenance contract for the new one would, if we use, they charge us 00013 per copy. It depends, it's based on use. So that can go down, but they based it on what we were using it for in the old machine, which is screaming right now. Makes this shriek. And he's tried to get the part, and because it's so old, he is unable to locate a part unless he can find one in a used machine. So this is
Okay.
not appropriate.
Insurance, is that what's set by Kathy?
I used last year's figure. She
Okay.
won't have the actual figures till she gets them from Interlocal Trust on Friday.
Okay. New equipment,
That's gone up because of the request for the copier. I have, now, I don't know how we feel about this. We need to buy it from someone who also services it. We've asked the company that has always done and maintained our copiers practically forever, who provides us excellent service. They gave us a price and our discount is huge because of our longevity with this company.
And who is it, Ann? Fiddler?
No, this is Twin Rivers.
Twin Rivers, okay.
When you people were all talking about Porter, I just can't change. It's amazing what they do for us, and if we pick up the phone, we have things like this. So somewhere here I have, did I give you copies of this in your packet?
no,
No?
All right, well, Diana tried to find another company in New Hampshire that also had the same. What we're getting is a machine that has all the same features that we have now with the built-in fax and so forth. Which, the fax machine creates a great deal of revenue for us.
none of this equipment comes out of that other account?
I am gonna take it out of for the equipment. It's coming out of the 97 account, which is self-supporting and not paid by taxation.
Okay,
Did you get one of these in your packet?
no,
Well, you have one here somewhere, it's just, oh, here. No, those are my spares. There's only two companies with this machine, believe it or not, in New Hampshire that we could find online. And the other company is at $10,663 for the base unit. And we have this one, but we need someone, that company is based out of Bedford, and this one, I think they're right in Tilden. When we make a call, they come to us. We don't have any issues. So if I didn't give you those, I will, here we go. Here we go.
so you got, bottom line is you got a 14% decrease in the 2015 budget. What's it gonna cost to go online?
Well, I was hoping you'd ask, since this seems to have been such a hot button item in the, here's one of the, these are
Could we
copies of
first-
the,
Could we first find out before we discuss how much it costs to go online?
Could we what?
Could we find out what our revenue is, because that's a decrease in expenditures? Do we have an accompanying decrease in revenue, or are we
We
going to
do.
have a?
I told you back in June. I brought it up again at the delegation meeting.
We're not gonna get in as much as we had.
I have no control over that.
No, you don't, but if we got a 14% decrease in your budget for expenses and we got a 18% decrease in revenue,
They don't correlate. Our revenue has nothing to do with what it costs us to do business.
Okay.
We're still producing all the same documents. We cannot add, we've had a decrease in the amount of mortgages. There's nothing I can go up and rally out or start a loan business to raise revenue.
do you have a revenue sheet?
No, I
Like
didn't.
this?
No, I didn't have one.
Can you tell us what the overall revenue was for 2013?
Yeah, you've got a sheet that shows two things.
Where's that, Annie?
It was in your packet, and it looks like this.
Right here.
There's two of them, one for
Oh.
I
2013.
didn't get that.
One for 2014, and if you, the revenue is all on the left side, so if you actually fold,
It could be on the left side, but I didn't get it.
No, I don't think we got it either. Today, we didn't get it.
Can you just
I
tell us
brought way
what the
too much.
total revenue was for 2013, excuse me?
well, I can give you the figure, but then you've got to deduct out the surcharge, because it all comes under one figure.
What's the bottom line?
Look, I'm gonna
For
just
revenue.
compare the first 3 months, because that's all, I mean, the first 9 months, because that's what I brought you a comparison of. In 2013, the total in the 9 months, I can only give you the 9 months, was,
How come, why can you only give us 9 months when the year's over?
I was trying to give you a comparable about where we were this year and where we were
No,
at the
I'm
same
trying
time
to
last
compare,
year.
you've got 2015 proposed revenue at $668,000. I'm trying to find out the last full year that we know about, which was 2013, what was theirs?
I can.
Does it look
give
like
you-
804,000?
That's correct, that's correct.
Thank you. So we're looking at roughly a proposed over 2013, roughly $150,000 decrease in revenue.
Right?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Melissa.
That's a guesstimate.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
all I
that's
can
what
go
we
by
end
is what we brought in this year, up until, and I did it through the 9 months to make sure that I was giving it its best.
All right, you got that question answered?
Yes, I do, thank you.
What do you have as a figure if we go online?
The cost, the
Cost, yep.
first year I can tell you what it is. The first year is a startup cost of $7,200. Then $1,800 a month for the maintenance of that. Comes to $28,000.
Could you repeat those again?
Sure.
Ann?
Startup, $7,200.
Wait a minute, startup, 7,200,
And $1,800 a month maintenance.
maintenance, 1,800 per month.
I mean, that's actually updated every single day and sometimes to the minute.
So you have 28,000?
That would be at 28,000. I did not put it in my budget. It's not anything I proposed, nor do I want to see happen.
Well, I came up with 30, so it's pretty close.
12 times 18.
Belknap County, it cost them 30,000 to go online. Now, the question for the Board of Commissioners is, Ann puts this budget into us.
Mhm.
We can change the budget and put an additional 30,000 or 28,000 in it to go online. Or we can wait and let the delegation put it in.
Don't make me
Later.
shudder. I think you've got a lot on your head and your shoulders to be thinking about when talking about online. You are not just going to be paying out $28,000 on the backs of your taxpayers for a handful of people who are going to be using
I've
this
thought of that.
for you.
I have thought of that. You're correct. That
And
bothers me too.
you can charge people to have an account. I don't know what you can do. People do all kinds of things all over this state. And I'm not poo-pooing what other registers have done.
Mhm.
I am just saying it was always expressed to me that a certain level of privacy should be expected, even in a public place, of your records.
What kind of revenue are we gonna lose?
Well, okay.
You got a figure for that?
We got a lot of things to consider when we're talking about this.
Okay, wait a minute.
Okay? What we have is, I talked to Bill Knapp yesterday, and I just frankly couldn't believe it. My revenue sheet here, this end of the month slip that we
Yeah.
print, this is based on data we put in daily. At the end of the month, we hit a button and it produces this wonderful sheet. Anyway, when you look at that and you see the income from, you can look at, if I didn't give you one, I'll make sure you get one. The income, the revenue from copies, all right? Right now, at the end of September,
Yeah.
our income from copies was $80,219.53.
So you're saying that we would not receive that amount of
Well,
money?
wait a minute, let me go one step further. Last year, we made 108,000 in copies
Yeah.
for the year. That, I'm talking off the top of my
Yeah,
head, so don't
okay,
hold me,
all right.
but it's approximate. If you are online and you go on to their system, you're supposed to be paying for your copies. We get $1 a page if it's a customer copy. If they want it faxed, they could charge $4 for the first page, $3 for the second, $2 for the third. I had Diana, just as to go in yesterday, and here are 3 different registries. She was able to hit control, print, and got a copy. So who's going to be paying for them if you can do that?
Go ahead, Commissioner.
The other evening at the Tamworth Candidates Night, Lisa Scott got up, and I believe I heard her correctly. She said that those counties that have gone online are making more money than those that are not. I don't see how that can be if
You're right.
she talked about some method of payment, and I don't know whether it's PayPal or what it is.
That was the tapestry.
But that's the first thing. The second thing is, I've talked to several people that are in the land, that are in the deed business, lawyers. Their fear is that who is going to use them if they can go online from Florida and...
India. We get calls from them every day.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Go ahead.
I'm done.
We have people who are in this building every day whose job depends on this. That is not really, it is a consideration for all of us with jobs being as hard to come by as they are. The privacy of these records, and I don't mean privacy, we're not hiding them, you can find them here. But your towns have got lists posted on their websites of all the properties, what they're valued at for assessments, what the taxes are paid. And does this information belong out there? I don't know. But you can go into that same town hall and ask them if there's a car registered to a certain person, and they cannot tell you. It's protected by law. How is it that your car is protected more than your real estate? In order to go online and protect at least the Social Security numbers that we can identify are here, and we can't identify them all. Here were your copies if you wanted another set for Mr. Babson. We've had our software, hardware people, Fiddler, show us where all the federal tax liens are. As you can see, I've got pages and pages here. There are 17,833 places which would have to have numbers blocked on. That's just Social Security on federal tax liens. There are, as far as we have gone, we could only identify the death certificates from 1991 to, or 90, up to date, which was maybe a month ago. There are 6,179 death certificates in that time period. For the rest of it, I am going through by hand and identifying where the death certificates are by alphabet. Right now, I've done the A's, Diana's doing B's, everybody's got to sign a separate thing. It is a very tedious job, but we at least will be able to tell you on our good efforts, which we didn't have to do, the extent of what needs to be done if you are to protect your constituents. That's all I've ever been about, and I will defend it. Sorry.
We may want to hire that, replace that person that you decided not to continue with, to do that kind of work.
The software to block out those numbers is provided free, but the manpower, it's up to you. If you want to pay $28,000 to sell your soul, go ahead.
Okay. Okay,
I will open this.
I think we are all done. You
Can I
got
ask
some
you
other
question?
information you're going to give me?
I will. I'll make sure it gets down to the
Okay.
office, all right? Can I, what you did have is a copy of the bids. You have a copy of this. You have a copy of this. Am I right?
Yep.
So the other things.
Those three I have.
And I gave you a copy of the contracts, yes or no? I thought they were in that packet, but they may not have been, and I thought I had organized myself very well before I came up here. Here we go. Nope, that's- Yes.
The same materials I could.
Did you get
You got
these?
this.
My notices from Fiddler, which
No, I
address the
didn't.
24, 69,
No, I
and
didn't get that.
97 accounts? You want one for,
Yep.
And these are those other comparisons I had done for the 9 months. I'm finding now where. Or did you have those? Did you have those?
I don't have that.
Okay. One for-
I don't have that either, Ann.
Okay.
Is this Fiddler contract, is,
They do our
Have we- has
the
it been-
number 24 account for image capture, and they do the number 69, which is image retrieval, and all of our equipment, which is in the 97 account. This is in-state, at our beck and call with a phone call. If there's nothing they can resolve from remotely, they're here. So now, I think, I didn't give you these either, did I? Did I give you the Twin Rivers and the other company?
Yes,
I did
you
give
got
it,
that one.
okay, thank you.
And what is DP3?
Okay, that's a fun question. If you decide that you're not gonna pay the transfer tax at the time of recording, the state, one of the things we do that cooperates with the Department of Revenue Administration is that we, at night, through Fiddler's Technologies, the stuff, they get a copy of the index, so they know how many properties have been sold. They don't get the data, they don't know the property address or anything else by that, but so they know every time a sale has happened. And that was done as a project which we, as citizens of the state of New Hampshire, should be pretty proud, because what they've done is done a mapping of assessment for the entire state as a result of this. And when they do that, if there was a flood or some kind of natural disaster, they could go in and actually plot in what the assessed value is. Well, some people don't choose to put on the proper amount of transfer tax, which is $15 per thousand. So if they get there are forms that people have to fill out with the DRA every time the property is sold, and they're called PA 34s and CD 57 forms. And if the figures on those don't jive with other information, they go after them. I don't know that it's been totally resolved, but like if you put your property in an LLC, that's considered a transaction, even though you're your own LLC and you're supposed to pay full transfer tax. That's been a lawsuit that's gone on for years, so I really don't know the outcome. But if you put on a minimum of stamp and they find out that you actually paid thus amount by what you put on the forms, then they go after you for the difference in transfer tax. So that amount shows up as a DP3.
Okay.
So when the state collects that DP3, they send us our 4%. Is that what you're looking at, Mr. Babson?
Yes, it is.
Okay. If we see anything that looks out of whack as far as transfer tax, we send a copy to the DRA. So most of the time, the reason they've been able to do that is because we've enlightened them.
So that covers somebody that has an LLC that under appreciates their property and gets caught and now
Yes.
has to pay the difference between the actual value.
It's not just an LLC, Mr. Babson, it's on anybody. We see deeds all the time that go from somebody named Smith to somebody named Brown, and there's no transfer tax on it. It says this is exempt. We can't make that judgment call. We give it to the DRA.
Okay. Do you have any idea what the DP stands for?
Right.
It seems like a strange name, the DP3 dash.
Oh, the DPR, okay, that's if we have to refund money back to them. If somebody put more stamps on it than it was worth, then we have to.
Okay.
We look like a quiet little place, but we're actually pretty busy.
And the 4% L-chip commission is what we can keep, or you can keep out
It
of
goes
the
to your
4%,
revenue.
out of the 4% tax commission on the entire transfer
Yeah.
for,
We get $1 for every document recorded that has an L-chip on it, which is all deeds, mortgages, plans, and
we get $1 for every 1,000?
no, $1. They pay a $25 stamp. We get 1 out of the 25,
Well, how does that get to be 4%?
because it's 4% of 25.
Yeah, you're right, it is, okay. So we get $1 out of every 25.
Right. Which is really the same as what we get from a transfer tax. We get 4% of the total transfer tax. If you look on the,
Does that cover the cost? I see where it might cover the cost on a large piece of property, but on a small piece of property, that doesn't even cover our expenses. Is there a minimum amount?
we do their bookkeeping too.
Is there a minimum amount?
The 20, are you talking about the L-chip or the transfer tax?
The transfer tax, it too is 4%,
Minimum,
right? So if you've got a large piece of property, it probably pays for
we get, look at the amount on that,
and I'm not talking about total, but if I come in and I buy a piece of property for $1,000,
well, if you look on that sheet, it shows the total we took in, and then the total we give to the state and what we retained. It's a huge number, but that is because the state is getting the revenue, but also they're sharing part of it with the county, because without the county, they don't have the revenue. I hate when they make this many extra copies. When you go down the side of those, you see with transfer tax that we actually affixed to the deeds of $4,000,000, this is in 2013, $4,574,449. I just said that wrong. It's $4,574,449. And when you see what our commission on that is $182,977.96. That's pretty good income for them. And I think it was meant to help pay for what goes on in the registry, the duties that we do. But the same thing happens with LCHIP. If you were looking at the 2013, we collected, up until this point, we collected $147,900 for LCHIP, and our 4% commission was $5,916. I think when they modeled that, and you have to know I was down there fighting it because it was just, I didn't think we needed to have an extra job to do, and we were afraid it was going to open the door to other people wanting us to put stamps on for their cause or whatever. And it had a startup cost that they actually paid us up front in order to get it so it was working, the machinery we needed and so forth.
So basically, we're down $94,000 from last year to this point?
That would be probably accurate. I know we were right around 100,000 in June. The summer was a little bit better, and we don't know what October, November, December is going to bring.
Right, okay.
I'd be happy if we had a big change.
Yep. That'd be good. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Wayne. Okay, what do we got?
I think you have lunch.
We have lunch, right? We have lunch, then we have IT budget at 1 o'clock. Okay?
For the benefit of the camera, can I encourage every individual in this county to sign up for Property Fraud Alert? It protects, if anything gets recorded in your name,
15 items
it's
on the
free
work-
service,
on the work
and you get a
section.
call within, I would say probably within 2
15
hours,
items.
that something's been recorded. So if somebody does something, puts a lien on your property, but something false, you have immediate notice to take care of it. We have the information, I believe it's on our website, and I can't recommend it enough.
Change the subject a little bit. There's got to be a way of approving minutes with a person not being here. Let's say she's not here for the end of the year, so no problem with the minutes from now on. But what happens,
With that one when I wasn't here, and you're the only one that can vote on it.
You can do the October 8th ones. You haven't approved these yet. You were both here, she was absent.
I don't have a copy of
I
that.
don't have those upstairs or in my
You
book.
got copies?
Yeah, there's two there. Three each. And then.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
I read these over 2 weeks ago.
Have any corrections?
I didn't have any corrections, I can remember that. So I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes of October 8th. I did remember one thing in the first paragraph where I'd like to just have it noted that Mr. Chandler's performance evaluation was at 11 o'clock. And that Mrs. Kenney, as it says here, said she'd be here, but she didn't show up.
You got here already, it's already there.
Yeah, but it doesn't have what time we started the meeting at 8:30. At 9:06, I questioned where she was, and then she came in and said she'd be here at 11. I'd just like to point out that she didn't show up at 8:30, and she didn't show up at 11 o'clock. And not leave it with, well, was she gonna be here at 9:15, or was she gonna be here at 9:30? She said she'd be here at 11 and didn't come. Didn't give a reason and didn't call. I'd like that added too.
So. Is it true that the office staff called her?
The office
Is that
staff called her and she said she'd be here at 11.
Okay. So so that last sentence, or the second to last sentence where it says she would attend the non-public session at 11?
That should be correct, yeah. At
For the
11
purpose
o'clock.
of Chandler's performance
Yes.
evaluation. Kenny, however, did not show for that session.
Nor did she call and say she wouldn't be here.
Okay.
And now-
I'll second the motion. Any further discussion? Any further?
Nope.
No? All those in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
You also have some really old minutes, well,
Okay, today's 10.
September
22.
10th. that never
That's
got
that set
approved.
for some reason has been shuffled around and never got approved.
Yeah,
I don't have a set with me.
yeah, no, when I print mine, I reduce the font to use less paper, so I don't even know if you can read those. That's the only set I have. I have emailed them to you all a few
Sign that
times,
one.
but we're still waiting for an approval.
Maybe we could get a copy made or give us a chance to, I think mine's in my book downstairs and I would like to pull it out.
Well, let's do this when we
Right.
come back.
We'll do that one when we come back.
Yeah, my
This
stuff.
is the one that's signed.
Okay, yep. I'll get a good copy of this for you, is that what you said?
I believe I got mine in my book downstairs.
So, yeah.
Okay, let's do that when we come back.
Okay,
Those minutes, so we clean that out.
I'll leave them out.
Then the only one we have left is the one that Commissioner Kenney and I was at
Right, so.
last week.
Yeah, you have
was it last
October,
week?
October 1st that you can't do, right?
Because I
Why?
wasn't here.
On October 1st,
Didn't we approve that?
I wasn't here.
David, yeah, but didn't Ashley and I approve
I
it
don't know.
within the next week?
Hold on, let me see, sorry. On October 1st, Babson and Kenney were here.
Right.
Mhm. Look at the next
But when you
week's.
brought it up at the October 8th meeting, she wasn't here, so you couldn't do anything about it.
That's right. That's
And
right.
then, last week you weren't here.
Last week I wasn't here, so we
Right.
couldn't do anything about it.
So we're still holding October 1st
Yeah.
to get that squared away.
Okay,
And then, yeah.
if there's nothing else, I would recess until 1 o'clock,
Okay.
okay?
Yep.
To order. We had recessed at a little after 12 for lunch, and we had set up a IT committee meeting for 1 o'clock. Sorry, we're a little bit late. But I'd like to hear a report, a discussion as to what took place on Monday. I was not here, so I need to be brought up to date as to what was discussed and where are we going. And then I will fill you in on where I see we're going to go. So who wants to speak? Anybody? And Wynette, you're not supposed to be on this committee, right? You were taken off this committee back 2 or 3 weeks ago. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, in the transition period, trying to get Mike up to speed, we did meet and we talked a little bit about what the subcommittee was doing for the fiber optics information. And then we just briefly talked about that the direction had been given from the delegation and the commissioners to have all the IT items in one budget. So we had asked some questions as to the things that would be in that budget, that would be covered in that type of budget, bringing just some things to light.
Okay.
And what are some of the items that in the future, but what should be put in the current. So then we said that today you would ask for IT to be here, the committee to be here to determine what will be in the budget.
Okay. Anybody else want to add anything to it?
Yeah, we had discussed coming up with an RFP for running a fiber optic communications between the 3 buildings.
Yep.
And we're going to go with that. And at this point, we're in the process of developing a rough draft of an RFP, which we're going to present again before the subcommittee for final review before we submit it to the commissioners.
Mm-hmm.
And that's already been started.
You have said that there was no line to connect the old nursing home to the jail. Was that correct?
As far as I know,
I thought when we put the gas line in from the old nursing home to the jail, we also laid a pipe that we could run a wire through to do this.
that was before my time.
Right, so,
I don't know.
Excuse me, Dave?
yep,
I know they did that, you're correct, but I don't think they put the line in. I think they just put the pipe in case they wanted to.
that's right, exactly. They didn't put any line in, they put a pipe in.
Just the conduit there aside of the gas line.
Right,
Who was here when that happened?
Me?
I think we were told by Wayne McBrien, who was on that meeting. And Jerry and Wayne were part of that because they're the maintenance, folks from the county. And I believe it was Wayne that said that he did not think that happened. So we can find out.
I'm almost positive it did, but I can't
Didn't string
document
the
it.
line, but they put the conduit in.
That's right, that's the idea, was to put the conduit in.
Do you know where the termination points are?
I was gonna say, you could see the exposed and termination points. If the pipe is, the conduit's there, they should have the,
It would have to go wherever the gas line went.
I believe that we dug the trench, didn't we? And then
I'm not
gas
sure
company hooked up
The gas,
lines.
the gas company had to put it in. Maybe we could check with the gas company to see if they know whether it was put in or not. I mean, they had no responsibility, but they might know that it did happen.
Like Eastern?
Eastern Propane, yeah.
Bob, would you be able to contact and find that out?
Yeah, I'll go through Wayne on that because Wayne's the main contact with Eastern. And, yeah.
Which means we still need a line, if that's true, we still need a line from the old nursing home to the new nursing home.
The old nursing home to the new nursing home already has a fiber optic
It's already in,
done.
okay.
The only thing
So we need to take it from the new nursing home to here.
administration building to old nursing home. Old nursing home to the pole outside the jail.
Yep, okay,
And then from that pole, there's a conduit that goes inside to the jail.
okay. Okay,
So I've been told.
well, let's find out if the line was laid between the old nursing home and the jail.
Boy, I can remember watching him dig it.
Well, I can remember watching them dig it, but I don't remember seeing a gray pipe or any kind of a pipe going in other than the gas line. And I think that was orange.
That was orange, you're right.
Okay. All right, that's number one, and we need to come up with a budget if we can, a figure that we can put in next year's budget to get it all connected.
That's part of the RFP.
Okay.
We're calling this an RFP because we don't want a quote, we want a proposal. This is going to be, we're going to present a concept to the contractors.
Yeah.
They're going to present a design. And along with that design, they're going to present a budget. So that's why we're calling it an RFP instead
Okay.
of an RFQ.
Okay.
If you want it for next year's budget, you have to have when you need the numbers, but
November
We got to have it into Concord by the 1st of November, but we want it by the
that's
26th of November.
doing an RFP is not, that's gonna be tight.
Even if it can be quick, a good estimate from a company. So we can get something in, whether we
By
can
when?
put it in from here to the, you say we got to go to the old nursing home from here?
Yes,
Can't go to the new nursing home?
not with any ease, no. No, you still have to, the distance that you have to travel is the same no matter how you look at it. And it's easier to go into the old nursing home and from there to the jail than it is to get the other way around.
Do they have to be buried?
And it should be, yeah.
Otherwise, we got to put poles in.
And even if you use the existing poles, then you have to go through a process to get permission to use those poles, and even from those poles, you still have to go underground to get to the building. So at this point, it's just as easy to go underground all the way.
Okay. Any other comments on the fiber optics? John, where you coming from on fiber optics?
I'm working directly with Bob on generating the RFP.
Okay,
And I guess the one thing that we discussed briefly earlier today is I feel it should be written into the RFP that the approval is subject to funding by the delegation next year, and that these contractors need to know that right up front, that it's entirely possible that the delegation may say no.
yep,
So the bid will be awarded subject to funding.
that's even true for union contract.
And absolutely, the fiber needs to be buried for its own protection.
Okay,
I've actually had another client earlier this year that strung overhead fiber. It was all within their own property. And a truck came down, tore down all the fiber, the phone lines, everything. So their network went offline for 3 days while they got somebody out there to fix it. Now, there's no guarantee that someone with a backhoe won't come dig it up in the future, but there's much less chance of that happening than a tree falling on it or some other calamity. And if we do already have a conduit, even for one section, Putting in the conduit is going to be the biggest expense of the whole project. Fiber optic is relatively inexpensive compared to what it used to be to install. It's the labor to dig the trench and bury the conduit is the big expense.
Okay, let's talk about the IT budget. As you know, the matrix audit, performance audit, said that we should have a separate IT department. I don't think there's any question why we can't have a separate IT department. The problem that I see within the IT department is to whether we hire an individual as an employee or do we contract out the IT portion. Did you have a discussion on that on Monday?
Sure did.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit, some of the pros and cons, and at our next meeting, you know, some of the concerns of the different departments and some of the pros and cons as to having a full-time IT department, which we would need to have more than one person, and I've gotten some job descriptions. I have some costs from other counties as to their salaries, and just looking at what the differences would be. And I think the performance audit, you know, said that it recommends that it be looked into, and that it maybe be a, you know, for the future, not necessarily for this upcoming year, but it should be a consideration. And I think putting all the IT components into one budget, really seeing a bigger picture for the county-wide would really help in bringing more pros and cons to the table. But I have some of the other counties that have the network administrators, technical support specialists, and some of those job descriptions and the salaries, so we can go over those when we have our meeting, which is, I think it's a week from Monday, because this coming Monday is the county's conference. I think it's the next Monday. We'll talk about that piece.
Okay. Does it look like that we need to stay with a contract versus hiring 1.5 or 2 people as employees, full-time employees?
And I think that's what we need to look at. I don't personally, and I'm not sure if the committee members would agree, that it's not going to happen for this budget. We really need to look out for next year, the next budget, but for the year, at minimum, having a 1-year contract with contracted services at minimum to kind of get us through, number one, any fiber optic installations, finishing up the servers that are already in process. But that discussion definitely needs to be had as to, you know, what the cost would be, how many people we would have, and what the needs are from each department to determine, you know, the viability of it, and then the costs. So I would think that at a minimum, a contract for next year is going to be needed. So at least a 1-year contract.
John, your contract runs out in March.
The end of March.
Is it possible to get a 1-year contract?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, as with IT or any other industry, you'll get better pricing for longer-term contracts. That'll be factored in, but yes. Our first contract here was a 1-year contract.
Okay, we're going to have to have that figure to put into our budget. We've got to have that figure in our budget, minimum, because we do need to have somebody on board to take care of our computers and so forth.
I guess then the commission needs to determine in advance whether, being a 1-year contract, they feel comfortable with waiving the bid process, and then I can provide you a quote in advance, or whether you want to go through the whole bid process again for a 1-year contract.
Okay, good point.
That was part of what we discussed. That's why we're having a meeting next week, is determine the viability of a full-time, or I guess in our opinion, it's at least 2 people hiring full-time or doing the contract. And I agree with whatever we need to do the contract. I think also needs to be looked into is 1-year contract and smart, because we should have whoever's that contract be. If we do the contract, we should make sure we have at least the master plan in place on the IT as far as the fiber optics and the bringing all the servers online together, moving them all into the cold room. And if that's going to be a 2-year project, that contract really should be 2 years for continuity purposes. And that's kind of what we were going to be discussing at the next meeting. So we probably would have a definite recommendation after the next meeting, or at least very close to.
As Mike just said, the fiber optic process, step one is simply getting the fiber in place. And all that gives you is a line with no data coming across it. It's a fairly involved project from that point forward to take the technically four separate networks and merge them all into one network. And that's definitely not a 1-year project.
Then to me, that makes it even more important that it goes out for bid. If it has to be 2-year contract. Go ahead.
And I just have another question as to, okay, the contract ends March 31st, John?
Yes.
2015? I don't know the reasoning, I don't know why, maybe you can explain that. If we have a fiscal budget from January to December, and if the recommendation of the performance audit is to monitor those expenses, and I don't know if this is possible, I don't know why it was done, so maybe an explanation could be given, would it make sense to have it be an annual a calendar year contract versus going from March to January if we were going to consider hiring people for January 1? Or I don't know.
Well, I think the reasoning why it went March 31st is the delegation approves the budget April 1st. And we can't start anybody January 1 until they approve the budget.
All right. Well,
So I think
makes
that's
sense.
why that was left at March 31st for the contract.
Part of the reason of going through March 31st was to ensure that the county did have IT support while the delegation was working on the budget process. That way it was already contracted, it was in place, and it just became one of the working expenses of that period that the county normally goes through.
Okay, well, that makes sense, thank you.
Okay, so the committee is going to be looking at pros and cons of hiring someone as an employee or contracting out.
Next
Okay.
meeting, which is,
And this may not happen until 2 years from now. Not this coming year, but
no, I
the
think
budget year of 2016, we would,
I think
we
we're
would,
looking, I guess what we're looking at right now is, for the next budget year, should we be looking at personnel or contract? And if we go with a contract, obviously personnel would be higher. If we go with a contract, what kind of contract should we be asking for? How many years for continuity and what the ongoing projects are? And that's kind of what we're focusing on in the next meeting. And John's going to come and do the pros and cons on the contract versus the hiring of personnel. And we've kind of looked into it. I think we have some ideas already, but the real thing, I think, is going to be what projects are in place and what is the beginning and end time of those. So like there's continuity. So should we go, is it okay to go for 1 year or 2 year, or do we need to go for 3 year? Or?
well, it looks like maybe I would agree with a 2-year contract. Go ahead.
We don't, in that contract with John, have an option here, do we?
The commissioners can do what they want if they do it if they can waive the bid process.
Well, no, we can't.
If it's unanimous,
If it's
you can.
unanimous, you can.
If it's unanimous, we can. A, you gotta get the person to show up so we can have a unanimous
Well, that's,
vote. And B, when she's here, you've got to convince her that you're better off not going out for a vote. We've seen this year, we've had 2 instances where she insisted on us going out for a vote, and it's cost us more than if we hadn't, and we're up against that. It makes no sense to me that we have somebody here on a 5-year contract. We gotta go 1 more year, and somebody comes in, or 2 years, and somebody comes in with a lower contract price and doesn't know the first thing about what's here.
I agree.
and it's gonna take them some time to get up to speed. But we've gotta do it if it's over $5,000, and it certainly is. Unless
know.
we can get the unanimous vote, and I don't think we can.
Well, I don't know when the vote's gonna take place. It's gonna take place January 1st, or 10th, or December 1st. That would make a difference for them.
My opinion is we ought to bring it up as soon as possible and find out where we stand. I'd vote for no bid for up to a 2-year contract.
And if the committee has a recommendation for the commissioners as to what the IT committee would bring forward, might that have a decision-making impact on the commissioners? And we can't ask that question because there is one missing, but and just as a reminder that in the performance audit, it says the county should monitor expenses for information technology services and consider in the next several years the potential to bring in this service in-house to increase support to departments at the point in time that the costs have a dedicated position that would be offset by the reduction of the contract. So I just want to make sure that, you know, everybody remembers what this audit, what this recommendation is not to like, okay, we need to hire somebody. And that's why the committee's meeting, we're talking about the pros and cons, and then if we need to extend it 1 year to find out what the determination is, John would probably squirm at 1 year, but I know he would be in agreement. And then also looking at some of those things that what the current contract is based on. There was a lot of stuff to do coming into this current contract. And would there be changes to the current contract as to, you know, maybe even reducing some of those costs? Because there's not so, I think you've done a lot of work, haven't you?
I have basically rebuilt every network here from the ground up. In the case of the administration building and the nursing home, they suffered from many, many years lack of IT support because they just didn't have anybody. And so everything's been replaced and rebuilt from the ground up. In the case of the sheriff's department, you had Captain Myers, who was here, doing all that work himself. But what he did was, let's just say, unconventional. And so that has been...
It was custom built by him.
It was custom built by him, and it was not done to typical IT standards. So that network, again, was completely redone from the ground up. In the case of the jail, they have actually had my company since 2003.
Right.
And this is just their normal replacement process every 5 to 6 years, and that's a project that I'm currently working on. They have their new server in place, and now I'm migrating everything from the existing servers to the new servers. They already have their new software. The shell of it has been installed on the new server. It hasn't been implemented yet. I personally don't know what that schedule is, but the software and hardware are in place, ready for that. The next major project, which is bigger than any one of those single projects, is going to be the integration of all networks into one. And it's going to be a hefty expense because it is a ton of work to do, but from that point forward, you will have one integrated network, and that allows a reduction of necessary resources from this point forward. And that's one of the reasons why investing in the fiber optic is going to pay for itself in a matter of years. I can't give you an exact number, but once we have that, we'll be able to look at reducing other costs as well. One of the things we brought up in one of the meetings on Monday is that the Sheriff's Department has what's called a T1 PRI phone line, and that brings their phone services into their department. They have spare room, but until we link everything else, we can't utilize that spare room, which costs less per line, to reduce costs elsewhere. Once the fiber is in place, then we can look at that, and again, that's long-term savings. Once we link everything up, then it'll be worth investing in a fiber optic internet feed. Right now, we have 5 separate Time Warner connections throughout all the buildings, and we're getting a phenomenal rate. How, I have no idea, but I do know we're getting a great rate from them. And it will be more expensive to purchase it on fiber, but you will get a better, stronger, more reliable connection. And then we can use that to do things like switch the PRI line that they currently have over to the fiber internet, and again, reducing costs even more. And again, once the whole network is integrated into one, right now you have 3 separate email servers, one for each network. Once they're integrated into one, when that email server is up for its replacement in however many years, I want to replace one. Less software, less hardware that you buy. The servers that
But if
manage
that
all-
one breaks down, you gotta have one pretty handy, so you have to have a spare.
Well, with one of the other things that I've implemented over the last 3 years is what's called virtualization. It used to be that whenever you had a need for a server, like email, you bought a box, you put it there, and this box handled email. You had a box in the business office, that handled the data for the business office. You had a box in the county attorney's office, that handled their data. There was a box in the sheriff's department, that handled their data. Now, with virtualization technology, you buy one very high-powered box, which costs a lot less than all those individual boxes, and it electronically acts as all those individual servers. So to the network, they're all electronically segregated so that nobody in the county attorney can see the sheriff's stuff, nobody in the business office can see the jail stuff, etc. But you're reducing your cost because you only buy that one box however many years, instead of what you've done over the last 4 years is replace the boxes in each 4 departments.
Where's the redundancy?
The redundancy is we take the older boxes and every 30 seconds, the primary box sends a copy of all data that has changed over to one of the older boxes. And it's sitting there just waiting, doing nothing else but waiting. If the primary box fails, all these other servers have a copy of all the data that's no more than 30 seconds old that I just fire it up and say, okay, come online. Then they're back up and running very, very quickly. That's a whole lot better than what we have now, where we have backup, and backup is copied off-site, and I can repair the server, restore it, but that's a day-long project. With the virtualization, and I've already started some of this in this building, we have these redundant servers, and the long-term goal is the servers, the primary servers for all the departments are actually going to move into this building, into the sheriff's department server room, because they have a true server IT room with fire suppression, battery backup, access
Ventilation.
control, all that stuff. But then we will have the redundant servers for each department in the various buildings in the event for disaster recovery. If, when the farm guys with the backhoe does dig up the fiber and segregates it, they have it's an older, slower server, but it has everything they need to run independently while the repairs are made. That's part of my 5-year plan.
Okay, do we have an inventory of all of our
We do.
IT components?
We do, and actually I have one of my techs going through the campus today, as a matter of fact, updating it to make sure that we are 100% accurate, because changes have been made over the course of the year, and I'll be the first to admit I'm not always the best at recording what I've
So we need, the Board of Commissioners would like to have a copy of that.
Sure.
What about a 5-year plan? You had put together a plan, I don't know when it was started or what the ending date is, but where are we on that, on the plan?
I think we're in year 3 or 4. I can go through and update it. Keep in mind that is
Update it with the idea that we'd have fiber optics
with
in
the
it.
fiber. It'll be conditional on that being in place.
Okay,
Commissioner?
Absolutely.
yep.
What are you defining as an IT component?
All computers. I'm not talking about telephone lines. What was the other items?
Here's fax machine.
Copiers.
Copiers. That stays in the budget of the different departments right now. Maybe at some point later, we'll take the telephones out and put it into IT. Otherwise, it's strictly contract, purchasing of new computers, updating computers, software, and any other thing that has to do with
Infrastructure?
fiber optics, yeah. for computers. Go ahead.
We talked about this yesterday. I have a question about that. You're looking for us, the sheriff's office, to give you a list of all our computers, and you're gonna take that and put it under an IT budget. Is that what I'm understanding?
Right. Yep.
Is it gonna be an IT department and an IT budget? Because is that budget line gonna come out of the sheriff's office and go into that IT budget? And-
Right. That's my feeling.
And where, but is that IT, like if I say I need 5 new computers for next year, that IT, those 5 are still gonna be attributed to my budget, or is it gonna become the commissioners?
It's gonna be in that other budget, the IT budget.
Who's gonna
Okay.
manage it?
Well, that's yet to be determined.
Well, and that's, and
The
My-
IT budget may come under the commissioner's line item to start with.
I think you'll find in other counties that have actual IT departments is that the IT manager answers directly to the commissioners, puts a budget together, and I think this county should do exactly the same. It's irrelevant whether you continue to contract out services or you have someone in-house. That is the IT manager.
Right.
And should report directly
Yep.
to the commissioners, and I would actually welcome that myself, because I would love to be able to go to you every year with the list of inventory and say, okay, these are the oldest ones, this is what I need money for.
Yep.
And that type of thing. That would actually make my job a lot easier, instead of waiting for the various department heads to find out whether they have money to do this or not at the end of the year, and then scrambling around.
Right.
It'll just make the county run.
I think
More
the
efficiently.
delegation is looking for an IT budget, not by different departments, but one IT budget. This is what it's gonna cost.
That was the impression I had.
This is what it's gonna cost Carroll County government for IT, for computer hookup, computer management. Go ahead.
if you're gonna have an IT budget, then you have to obviously have a manager of that budget that
Mhm.
each department would be answerable to. If I said I want, let's say it's John, and I say I want 5 new computers, and he and I will have a discussion, and then he'll present it to you. Is that what you're looking at, is establishing that right away, that whole thing right now? Because, I mean, I guess there should be somewhat of a discussion, not only the fact that, like, we have, some grants we're going, the commissioners know about, and those include, radios, which are computers.
Yep.
And part of those are gonna be offset by the grant, part are gonna be set by the budget. And it may not be, I don't know what the intent of it is, but if you're gonna have an IT department with an IT, you'll need the IT manager who works with everyone. You can't just have an IT budget, you need that oversight person, I guess. And that would be part of the contract.
That would be part of the contract or
So
part of
that's
the
kind of what
guy
we
or the
need to
person
know,
who
what
was
we're
hired.
looking at, as to what we're gonna be putting out on this contract, because that might include a little bit more.
I'd also go one step further in saying that within the IT budget, the sheriff would have a section, administration would have a section, nursing home, jail, and it would be based on whatever the 5-year plan is. Does that sound reasonable?
Can I ask what the intent of combining it under one budget line is? Is it for simplicity for them reading the budget, or is it for some other reason?
Delegation has requested it. I believe in the survey that was done, the audit, performance audit, they're talking about an IT department. Go ahead.
To answer your question, Bob, I think their idea is it's the first step in trying to determine whether we'd be better off with an in-house IT department or outsourcing it. And I can see them thinking, well, if we put it all under one line item, when we get to the bottom line, we know what it's cost. They don't really know, but that's their thinking. And I think that's the direction, and that's just the first step.
Okay.
And keep in mind that currently, as part of my contract, I do meet with each department head every year, and we go over my recommendations as to what they need. And then it's up to the department head to either put that into his or her budget or not. And in some cases, they have said, no, I can't afford it. And that's why in the interest of making IT here work better, I welcome the idea of having a separate IT budget that I answer directly to the commissioners to, or maybe work with an intermediate person. That remains to be seen. But that way I can give my recommendations, I can justify my recommendations, and then the commissioners and then the delegation can either say yay or nay, which they already do anyway.
And I guess.
But I would also say that it's important that every department have somebody on this IT committee. Because the IT committee, I think, is going to be more important than what it is right now. Once we get an IT budget put together, you people are going to have input into it.
It's when you get this IT committee, this IT department, and this IT department head, and I guess speaking on my department half, if the sheriff has been granted 5 computers or however it is, and whatever radios or whatever, does he have the option? That's what I guess there needs to be a discussion part. There's a lot more to it than I think you're looking at. There's a lot more, under the table. Like, is the IT committee guy going to say, nope, you're only getting 1 computer, you don't need it, or you don't need a new radio, when the sheriff feels as though he does need a radio, and that's what I mean. Who has the veto power? Obviously, the commissioners always do, but that's just other things I think you need to be in consideration of. And I don't know that. I mean, while you have someone overseeing the IT department or something who is amenable and stuff, but you could have, as John said, sometimes the IT people are very, it's my way or the highway.
Well, I think it goes into the 5-year plan.
Okay.
If the IT committee accepts the 5-year plan, then that's going to be the primary plan. Now, that's not saying that there could be some adjustments to that 5-year plan. If your computers burn out, well, then you're going to have them. It may be more on need, where the sheriff's department may need it more than somebody else. But I think that's then left up either to the commissioners or to the board, to the IT committee.
Mike,
We probably have the final say, and the delegation has the final say as to what money gets approved for it. But
I would envision, at least for the first year, IT budget computers are strictly what you use to access the network with. Anything that's esoteric to your department, which may be PC-based, such as your radios and whatnot, would still be separate in your budget, at least for the short term. If it did eventually come under the IT budget line item, then what I would expect to happen is every year as an IT committee, I would present my recommendations and let the IT committee itself vote on it, discuss it, as far as PC replacements and things like that. That it shouldn't be just me or an in-house IT manager for that matter. Because as you said, the stereotypical IT manager is someone who builds a kingdom that only he or she manages. And part of the reason of having the IT committee is to make sure that what the IT department does is what is truly best for the county. And it should always remain that way. Now, the 5-year plan is always subject to updating. As you mentioned, one of the technologies that's become affordable in just in this past year, 2014, is what's called solid-state technology. The faster hard drives, and allows me to take a 4-year-old computer, which normally would be at the end of its life, to retrofit it for $90 like I did in your own department today. And that 4-year-old computer now runs similar to a brand new one. So we just extended the life expectancy of your computers from 4 to 5 years up to 7 to 8 years.
for $90.
For $90. And I have been doing that countywide as various budgets allow. Even brand new computers with this technology just run 20 times faster, not 20% faster, 20 times faster. And these computers that we're getting in today, anything that's no more than 2 or 3 years old right now, the life expectancy is out to 2020. That's when Windows 7 will no longer be supported by Microsoft, and that will dictate changes at that point. And that's something that's new this year. When I first put the 5-year plan together, we didn't have this technology.
Right.
So that is going to affect how much money is spent, and by utilizing this technology, we're actually saving the county thousands and thousands of dollars. One comment that I meant to say earlier, we kind of moved past it, as far as whether you want to waive the budget process or not. We all know that a certain commissioner does not like me and will never, under any circumstance,
We don't
vote.
want to talk about that.
So I just bring that up for
Yeah. You got anything? No. You're just reaching your pocket. All right. I would see that this year, we take all of the IT items in everybody's budget and put it into one program. All purchasing of new equipment would also go in there. All updating of programs for the year 2015 would go in there. So if John has a plan that the sheriff's department is going to get 2 new computers, and you're going to need 3, then you better bring it up and talk about it here so that we can get it in the budget. But we have to agree on it. You have to give good documentation as to why you need that 3rd computer. And that's true for everybody. So do we have any other problems with having an IT budget? It's going to reduce your budget, but it's not going to reduce the bottom line to the taxpayers.
It's still gonna be accountable to my budget. I would assume you would still account whatever I need out of the IT budget to the sheriff's office, so.
Yeah.
All right, and then I'll explain how I would
Okay, that was
do
mine.
that.
Say that again?
I said I'll explain how I
Okay.
can do that, because we'll have other categories too within the IT budget, and you guys can correct me, training for any new
Yeah.
software type of whatever, programming, training, the licenses that are all required on some of our systems, supplies with regards to, the computers.
I guess we need to decide whether that comes under the IT budget or whether each department is responsible for their own, like toner and ink and things like that, paper.
I'm not so much paper, but like batteries or whatever for the computers. If
Whatever
there's-
deals with the computers.
So what I do, because right now what we do is we have there's 3 sections on our sheets. We have the fund, we have the account, which would be the IT department, the department. Then we have the account number, which, let's just say, the supplies for the computers is 036. So there would be the fund, the department, the 036, which would be the supplies, and then a fourth one that goes out that would have the sheriff's department, the human resources, all the departments would, so within, like new equipment, under the new equipment or
Mhm.
new computers, it would have a 4th section that would have the new equipment for the nursing home, the new equipment for the jail, the new
It
equipment for the...
has to be identified.
Right, identified, and that, so that it would correspond with, right now, the new equipment line
Mhm.
is 097. So it would have
Now,
like...
wait a minute. Are we talking about new equipment line item? Is that computers or
Right,
is that
right, just
other?
for, no, I'm just for, in general, right now, 097 is new equipment. What it
Okay.
would look like in the IT would be the fund, the IT department, 097, which would be the new equipment, and then the 4th section, which would be, the sheriff's department, the jail. So you'd see like new equipment, let's say, for just throw out numbers, there's gonna be 50,000 spent in new equipment for computers, and it will be broken out by
Department,
department.
yeah.
Can I ask, Good question. Why wouldn't we do IT budget and then break out the departments, jail, HR, commissioners, and then have subcategories under those?
Well,
Kind of like the way we do now, only assembled into one.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, if, having it go that other, the fourth, because we will have a department, which is the IT. The next set of numbers is the account number, so which corresponds with the entire county budget. So like, for the entire county budget, office supply is 036. And then the fourth section would be specific to which building, which department.
But out of that top, as you explain it, the top number, the first beginning, you have to get 097, you put in $15,000, that's so that you can go through and match it up with all the rest of the sheet. But then if you go and you break it out to make up that $15,000, how are you gonna do that? I would thought you'd do it, as Bob suggested, you'd have administration, jail, down the list, and so
way
that
the
each
system is-
097 shows,
Because we already have
Think-
a department.
That's what she's
The
saying,
IT
falls,
department.
falls in line with the way the county budget lines are set up. I think if you want to keep continuity on that, you have to do it the way she's explaining, in order to keep like the 036 for, or 97 for new equipment and all that, that's the only way to keep continuity, the way the county does it now is that's the only way you can do it, from what I can hear.
Yeah.
I don't think, it'd be good if you could do it that way, but.
But when
there's-
we can choose it, then you can do a selection of, like, if you wanted to know all that was for the nursing home or all that was for the sheriff's department, you would just do a selection and then pick that fourth section, which would be like 4140 is the sheriff's department. I would do the fourth section, and it would give everything in the IT that's for his department, for your department, for the jail.
Now, if I can throw a monkey wrench into the
Yeah, go
talk
ahead.
here. Part of that IT budget should be just a generic line item for miscellaneous upgrade parts. Don't necessarily know at the beginning of the year what's going to come up throughout the course of the year. How would you handle that? How also would you handle if, let's say, the sheriff's department gets a new position and they need an extra computer? How do you handle that? Wasn't budgeted for to begin with, but they need it, and there's no doubt about it.
I wouldn't say it goes under miscellaneous, though.
That would be like new equipment, or
It'd
the
be under
maintenance
new
budget
equipment.
would be like an 081, right?
Yeah.
but he's speaking, not, you've just taken it as that one computer, I believe John's talking about any miscellaneous items that you haven't
Planned
budgeted for that come up. I mean, it might be new mouse, it might be a new keyboard.
That used to be new equipment, and then the delegation in the last 3 years have defined new equipment as you need to tell us what the equipment is gonna be. But it used to be, we would have $1,000 in the new equipment to handle the miscellaneouses that would come up that we couldn't foresee. So that's kind of what he's saying.
Hard drive failure.
Case in point, today I swapped out the computer in the commissioner's office. Now, I took a retired computer from Mike's department that has just been sitting in my cage. It's about a 4-year-old computer. You guys authorized the expenditure for a new solid-state drive. I retrofitted it, got it all in place, put it in today. How would I, as your IT manager, handle that? What budget would I do that with?
Come out of the commissioner's budget. Under
Under
the
what?
IT, under the IT department.
Miscellaneous, so that you're right, he does have to have a catch-all line for something.
Right.
Yep.
So that in the case of, this happening, I didn't know last year's budget process that I was going to need this $90 right now, but there has to be a contingency in there for just that type of thing. Printers especially, a lot of times when printers fail, they're not worth replacing. Printers in a lot of cases are disposable items, but you can't plan for when a printer is just going to die, but there has to be money in there so that when it does, I can get something ordered ASAP.
Is that because of the quality printer we're buying? We're buying a home type printer, or is there a commercial type printer that we should be
We're buying, there's some of the printers we have here are very high-end commercial grade printers. Others are entry-level commercial grade printers. Under no circumstances will I put in a residential grade printer because the cost to run it over the course of a couple of years far exceeds the cost of that little bit extra to go with a better printer. But they do fail.
Go ahead.
Another question is, let's go to end of life. Oh, we've got these computers, you gotta have somewhere at $15 or $20 an item to dump at the Ossipee dump or wherever you take it, unless you've got someplace to get rid of them for nothing. We've gotta have some funding for that.
Actually, we do have a company that Bob was instrumental in working on this, but as you two are aware, we had a dumping ground over in the old nursing home of all the stuff that I've retired since I've been here. Hard drives were stripped out, electronically erased and things like that. And what I want to say, there was close to 60 of them. Computers, 40-something monitors, other miscellaneous equipment, and we had a company out of Massachusetts that recycles this equipment, and they came up for free, took it off our hands.
About
So
2,000
I cleaned out
pounds.
one of your rooms, so now you have
Clean
more
it right out.
storage room.
There's about 2,000 pounds worth of computers.
Other than that room isn't there anymore.
Yeah, it's vaporized. Cost us more to get rid of TVs than the computers were free.
Yeah, and they recycle the materials, which I think is fantastic. Up till now, what my company would do is Goodwill over in Laconia recycles computers for free, and every so often we load up our pickup truck with a couple of dozen computers that we've cycled out for our various clients, bring them over, they take them, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think they have a contract with Dell that they recycle the materials, and Goodwill gets some benefit out of it, which is great for them.
Okay, anything else you want to discuss regarding the IT budget? Looks to me like we got two priorities. One, we got to get the fiber optics RFP out. And second, we need to decide as to whether we're going to go with a one-year contract or a two-year contract for our computer system. We've got an inventory, a 5-year plan. The problem that I have is, that you brought up, is the equipment. Now, the equipment, I wasn't thinking that the equipment was purchasing computers. I thought that was already in the IT budget. What is the difference between the equipment and the IT item, line item in
No, I
everybody's budget?
just called in the IT budget, there'll be like a new equipment, new computers,
But
whatever.
when we take things out of everybody's budget,
Yeah.
we're just taking the IT out. We're not taking the equipment out.
Well, if it's computer equipment, it will be in the IT budget.
It's just
Right?
gonna be a
Yeah.
new equipment line in the sheriff's office.
I know,
budget, new equipment.
I'm looking at the present budget that we have on the equipment. Is computers in that line item? Or is it in the IT line item?
No,
It's gonna go in the IT line.
it's gonna go in the IT budget.
I know
It
where
is
it's
in
going.
I know, it is in the new equipment line as far as like the commissioner's office.
Yeah,
We have, because if we needed a computer, if we needed a printer, it was under new equipment,
it's under new equipment.
right? But it's
Is
gonna
that true for
be,
everybody's budget?
it's gonna be in,
I mean, that was an issue with the delegation. What is under equipment? Is computers, are computers in that equipment item, or is it in the IT item?
No, the only thing in the IT item in the sheriff's office, I believe,
Contract.
was just the contract.
Okay, so then
But
the
then
big
you-
item then we have to do is we have to look at each equipment line item in everybody's budget and decide what portion of that is for computers that we have to take out and put into the IT budget, right?
yeah. Yeah, so anybody, as far as my understanding right now, anybody who's needing a new computer, it will not go into their budget under new equipment, it will go into the IT budget under new equipment.
Correct. But we gotta take something out of the old budget that's under new equipment that was there for the purchase of computers.
Well, I think
Well,
if
we
we had
haven't
said we're.
created
So the math will add up.
Yeah, if we had said we were gonna buy 4 computers and there was, I'm gonna say $4,000 in the sheriff's office budget, if we say we're gonna buy 4 computers next year, that it's not gonna be there, it's gonna be in the IT budget, so it'll offset.
Okay.
That's, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It won't be in both, it'll only be in the IT.
Yep.
Now, like, new equipment will only be, like if Jerry needed a vacuum or something, you know what I mean?
Anything other than computers.
Yeah, yeah.
Updates, software, training, all that. Now, how about training? You have a training line item budget? Is some of that in there for computers? I mean, we're gonna have to pick out some of these things, because we're just not gonna all of a sudden have an IT budget that's brand new, that there's some money that's in everybody's budget for that purpose that we're gonna take out and put into the IT budget.
I don't know that we sent anyone to computer training.
You just have it under training. Could be any training.
Correct. Like, it's the officers' training, dispatchers' training, so, I don't know that we sent anyone out for any training on Microsoft Office or anything. I'm not sure we have that need, because typically if we have the question, we just ask John.
Right. So people how to do it.
So training, I don't see is a
Yeah,
huge
the
issue for
only thing
us.
I think training is if we have a software upgrade and there needs to be training and it's part of whatever the contract is for.
I think the training would be like when you put Kronos in, people needed training for that. If you foresee that happening again, then that would be the, but
One other question about whose budget it belongs in. Every department here has software unique to that individual department. Each of these departments also have a contract with the software company provider for technical support.
maintenance.
Is
right?
That should be in the IT budget.
Should that also be in the maintenance?
I
All
would-
right, you
I would-
understand
I would
all
say
that,
so,
right?
yeah.
So you gotta
Yeah,
make
because
sure that that
like,
gets
like
done.
we have computer expense, which is for our software, or our support contracts for our specific software with the financial programs.
You have New Horizons, they have TriTech, they have Keen Net Solutions, Jail has Arconics is what they're going to. All these departments have software support contracts for their industry-specific programs. The generalized stuff like Microsoft Office, anytime that people have questions, they come to me, and that's what I provide.
And that's what you gotta make sure that's under there, because it doesn't fit under licenses or supplies. That would be.
No, it would
like
be
ours is just the user contract, user fee contract.
Right.
So that'd be contracts.
Right now, the only one I see is computer expenses, and that's under the commissioner's budget.
Do you have a draft of the new line that I can give to Howie and Paula?
Well, I started to work on it, and I think I'll give it to you then, but I can go.
Yeah, I don't have that, but if I can give that to Howie and Paula.
Yeah, I've given it to, but I'll give it to you too.
Okay.
And how do I account for system-wide software? Currently, because we have 3 separate networks, it's very easy, like the antivirus software at the jail is attributed to the jail, the one for the nursing home is attributed to the nursing home, but when we get into this building, right now, they kind of have a formula that was devised 4 years ago as to which department get billed how much of things like antivirus, anti-spam, stuff like that.
I think we'd have to put that up under general and not by department.
Good, because again, once all the networks are integrated, that becomes even more of a system-wide expense.
Because you're consolidating into one antivirus software rather than
Right.
4 or 5.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have 3 antivirus servers like I do now. When the other 2 networks get brought in underneath this one, their antivirus will come under this one.
In the sheriff's department, based on 2014, you had $27,000 in there under IT.
On each
That would
side,
come
though.
out.
That
The
was on-
$5,000 under computer expense would also come out.
Yeah,
Um,
that's on the sheriff's
There's
side.
licenses,
That's where the,
you have some computer licenses under dues, licenses, and subscriptions?
that's where the TriTech user fee came in under. We also have that on the dispatch, we have 27,000 on the dispatch side too for the,
Yeah, I haven't got there yet.
you know, I think we have the same, similar line items on both sides.
Yeah, you have 4,800 under computer expense.
Yep.
And you got 27,000 under information technology.
Yeah,
600. So you will still keep those separate?
right. Well, we won't have an IT under our budget anymore, correct?
Okay, is everybody clear as to what we are doing?
Is anybody clear?
No phones, no phones.
Everybody that's here is clear, right?
If there's any question,
Go
review
ahead.
the tape.
My notes that I made here, and because in my time here, I've seen us kick the can down the road for so many items, that I think that it's important that we get going on our request for quote for a new contract right away. We know because of the relationship between John and Commissioner Kenney that she's not gonna vote to have it no bid. So we're gonna have to go out for bid, and rather than just kick it around, and first it'll be the middle of November, and then the middle of December, and Christmas, and who knows what, and we'll be in the crunch again like we always are, and I think it's important that we get going on it right away, and one of the things the committee ought to do is come up with a request for a proposal.
Who has the old IT RFP?
I do.
Then at the next meeting, can you work on that?
Sure.
I mean, I may be wrong, but this is how I see things happening around here. Things just continue to slide, and they don't get done.
Okay, what other good
That's all.
items do you have?
No.
That's the only one?
Yeah. Well, I agree that the first thing we have to get everybody getting their information in on their IT costs, but we've already discussed that, so the only other one concern I have is getting going with a contractor.
Okay.
The other thing is with regards to IT, like a revenue side, if there's grants out there to fund, like you mentioned something, that we need to put it on the revenue side also, if there's gonna be any kind of IT
Put under
grants.
revenue, put grants and put $1.
For IT, but I mean, but I'm saying we need to make a line for that.
Yep.
Just for direction on our next meeting, though. We're not looking at, you just want us to put together an IT, a request for another contract. We're not gonna look at personnel or the possibility of having a full-time person or anything
No.
like that.
I
Okay,
don't think we can right now.
Yeah, I
Maybe
just
in
wanted
2
to-
years, we might.
okay.
To me, I guess you've convinced me that we probably ought to have a person here for 2 years, and then we look at reviewing it, whether we go out
Yeah.
for an employee or for a contract in 2 years.
Or a hybrid,
Hmm?
Right.
or a hybrid,
Or a hybrid,
a hybrid.
okay?
There's always that or.
Keep in mind that if you contract out your op-hour support and things like that, you're contracting out the expensive hours. Doesn't necessarily save you anything. You know, and if I could step out of my county IT manager role and step into my owner of Cybertron role, I can personally assure you that for 2 years and probably significantly longer, contracted support, whether it be from my company or one of my qualified competitors, is still less expensive than even 2 full-time people, and will remain so indefinitely.
Well, that's something the committee needs to
Right,
look at.
Yeah, we had talked about that.
yep.
Okay, we done? You know what you have to do? All right, thank you.
Okay, so, thank you. Now you gotta come downstairs.
Okay. Public input? We got some of these items? Oh, we got these questions answered.
You don't have to, we can wait until we come out. She just wants to send the brochure out, we got a lot to do today. Can we do the work session?
Go ahead. Yep.
Okay, the first item on the work session is policy review. You had that put on there, so I have no idea what it is.
Go ahead.
That was mine.
Did you put it on?
Yes.
I did.
Look at your agenda.
Oh, one was for you. Can you get no one? No, just one for us. One thing. And this is, this is very similar to the procedure that you follow for when you have a personnel hearing. This is one for the commissioners to suggest for the county personnel committee when they come in. And I believe this is very similar to the one that they've been using, but it was never adopted by the commissioners, or approved by the commissioners. And I did send this to Tom Clausen to take a look at, and he gave it a 2 thumbs up and said it's very appropriate and follows everything that should happen. So this, I'm asking that the commissioners take a look and possibly approve this, because we will have an upcoming county personnel committee hearing, and this is the process that they will follow.
Do we need to do it today? Can we do it and approve it next week? A lot here.
Yep, and you could absolutely approve it next week, that's fine.
I would suggest we do that.
My problem is that I think this ought to be a recommendation to the personnel committee of the delegation. We can't tell them what to do or what to follow.
It's exactly that. It's pursuant to RSA 2810A. The county commissioners suggest the following rules and
Okay.
procedure for
Okay.
the personnel committee. Yep. And this is what they used before. It had a few tweaks to it, but it is what they used before when they did it. But it was not an approved. So if we could have that for maybe next week, that would be great. 'Cause-
Well, if we're gonna hold this over, if you look at the first thing on notice of hearing, we have to give them written, no. I was gonna say we had to give this to them, but we don't. Well, we do. Notice of rules. A copy of these rules of procedure shall be provided to each party or their attorney or representative not less than 10 days prior to the hearing.
Well, that would be the set of rules used by the personnel committee. That wouldn't, it could be these, it could be something else. I mean, we should establish a county personnel committee procedure and policy so that we can't tell a delegation what to do, but we can recommend it.
Well, that's what it
That's
says.
what this is.
And
And
that's
it
what it
suggests
says
the
here.
following rules.
So,
But what I'm saying is, if this upcoming one I think it's scheduled for the 19th of November,
14th.
14th of November. They've got, each party's got to get hold of this 10 days before the 14th.
So that's the 4th of November, so we got plenty of
So
time.
we got, okay.
We do it next week.
This is going out to the party in a letter today, so that they have plenty of notice for their meeting. This will
This
go out.
is-
This will go out, but it would be nice to be able to say by the time we do have the personnel committee, to give them these suggested procedures.
Do you think it's wise, considering what's going on, that we send something out that hasn't been approved by the commissioners?
Yes, because it's just a suggestion for you to approve for the personnel committee to
Okay.
use.
Is this written up somewhere else in an RSA as to the procedures? No?
It follows the RSAs. It follows the RSAs, and this is what other, it's a very similar to what other counties use.
I'd be sure if I sent this out to any lawyer that I made sure it said, these will be the suggested procedures for a personnel committee meeting, and I might even put on it that it has not been approved by the commissioners at this time. I think we are opening up a can of worms to send out something that hasn't been approved. The delegation may say, no, we don't like this. I'm sure they won't say that, but I think we ought to.
Well, they may have some changes to this. And this is only suggestions.
Yeah, it's just
I mean, I have no
suggests-
problems in approving it
suggest-
today. It's just suggestions.
Make the motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve this today.
Approve
hear a
it as
second?
just as, approve it just, okay, I'll second it for discussion.
Okay?
I'll
Discuss
make
it.
an approval of a suggested procedure,
Yep.
with the word suggestion in there, so that there's no, the lawyer can't come and say, well, you said this is the way it was gonna be, and we'll be able to say, no, we said, well, this was our suggestion.
This is our suggestion
Okay.
of the procedures for the Carroll County Personnel Committee of the delegation.
At a future date, we can approve them, and then, right?
All those in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, then so ordered. So these suggestions have been approved today. This, the hell is today's date?
22nd.
22nd.
22nd?
Oh, we're approving these as suggestions.
As suggestions, yeah.
Not you, well, you said these suggestions have been approved. We're approving these as we're approving the fact that these are suggestions. So there was no way you
22nd
can
day of
say
October.
You passed it.
Do you have any others?
I don't have any other policies at this point.
Do you have anything else for our meeting?
Up on number 4 was put on their update of employee evaluations, and I can report on that if you would like.
Okay.
That I have received several back, and in keeping track of those evaluations, I've received several back from the nursing home, the jail. I'm working with the sheriff's department, as we had a discussion the other day, and I know that they're working on theirs, and the registry. So other departments that have not gotten any back, that are very overdue, I will send you an updated list of who is more than 30 days outstanding, and I'll send that to you in an email.
I have it here by next week.
Yeah, I can do that.
We've put a lot of importance on evaluations,
Mhm.
and I'm wondering if we should have those people that you've identified that are over 30 days come to our meeting and explain why they haven't done their evaluations.
Or maybe the first step might be for the department head.
We've given them plenty of opportunity. You're sending them a list of the people that need to be evaluated, correct?
Yep.
Then what's their excuse? Overworked? On vacation? Sick?
David, I suggested next Wednesday that we have, by next Wednesday, in time for us to know who's coming in, and we have those people who haven't filled out the evaluations who are supposed to come in here and explain to us why they haven't. As you said, they've had plenty of time.
So you're supporting what I said?
Absolutely.
That those people that did not fill out evaluation?
No, that didn't have, if I understand you properly, you want the people that are supposed to evaluate their employee and haven't done it, come
Right.
here and explain why.
Right,
I'm saying I agree with you 100%.
okay, can you arrange that?
Yep.
What's on the
Now,
agenda for
wait a
next
minute,
week?
And I had, I was the one that put employee evaluation on here.
Oh, was that for you? Not, that wasn't even for me?
That wasn't for you, that was for me.
Darn.
I would say we need to give them to the 5th. You know, next week, we got public hearing on grants, and I have three unions that we need to deal with. Now, if you want to continue on with the meeting and have them come in and explain it, that's fine. But I can't be here after 11 o'clock.
Well, whatever, let's give them a week to get these things done.
Move it till the 5th?
Yeah,
And then come in here and tell us why they haven't done it if they haven't.
Okay.
and on the 5th, it would be at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
What else do you have?
The only other, and I wasn't sure when I should ask this. We had talked earlier in the year, back in June or early July, about becoming a member of NHMA. And I wasn't sure if you would recommend that I put this in my budget for dues, or that it goes in the commissioner's budget. I would assume it should go in the commissioner's budget, but I just checked in with Judy Silva because they had a meeting, and I wanted to make sure that their amount to be an affiliate member wouldn't increase for 2015, so we could do it calendar year in the budget, and it didn't change, and it will stay at $500. But the services...
I think you're assuming a lot, because I think when it came up for discussion, we didn't think there was a benefit for us to do that. I could be wrong,
Well, no, you said find out if other counties belong also.
all right?
And Sullivan County belongs, and there's 2 other counties that belong to it. But for the...
It was limited into what benefit we'd get out of it.
We
And
don't
I think we were looking at more legal,
We don't
That
get
was
the...
it, they said, we decided no, because they said clearly they wouldn't give any they'd
Legal.
take our money, but they wouldn't give us any legal advice.
Right, because the cost, if the legal advice was in it, would be very much more, very, very expensive. And if conservatively, to say the county's dues using the formula that they use for the municipalities, with the legal advice in it, would be in excess of $15,000. So the legal piece would not be fiscally able to be done.
so what would it cost again to be a member?
It's $500 to be an affiliate member, associate member.
$500.
Yeah.
We don't have a vote? Or do we have a vote?
No,
We don't have a vote.
no.
Well,
But
what do we get out of the $500?
we get the
Chance to
publications, we get workshops and trainings and webinars. We get the Town and City magazine, which has lots of very, very good information in it. Attendance at the NHMA conference, the NHMA legal bulletin, the legal bulletin and the legislative bulletin keeps us updated on so many legislative type things that are happening, whether they've passed or whether they're in
We
process.
supposedly get that from the New Hampshire Association of Counties,
I have
as to
never-
what rules or what laws are passed that, or are on the docket to be
Mhm.
passed, to be acted on,
Mhm.
that affect county government.
Yeah. I have not seen that, so I have not had the ability to look at that. It also gives us news links, biweekly newsletters, and the website, we're able to put classified information on there, ad postings, RFPs, things like that. And they will come up and do workshops, on-demand workshops. There is a charge for that. They're typically the 2-hour trainings. There is a charge. However, what we would be able to do is open it up to all of the towns in the county and invite them and maybe charge a minimal cost to cover that. So there is a lot of benefit to belonging to this. But once I wanted to make sure the price was not going to go up for next year, and I didn't know that you had said no. I thought you said to find out if other counties belong to it, and other counties do find a benefit from it.
My recollection was we said no because we couldn't get any legal advice.
Yeah. I'm not gonna be able to go to the New Hampshire Association of Counties meeting in November. You wanna bring that up,
Yeah.
as to what the benefits are? What other counties are using the benefits?
Yeah, I will.
And is it worth it?
Yep, I will.
Or
Why
contact a
can't we
couple.
bring it up when we go to the New Hampshire Convention next week?
That's right, you could. That's right. Good place to bring it up. Okay? We'll wait until next week then, on that one. Make sure that goes on our action list somewhere.
Yep.
Got anything else, Lynette?
Nope.
Okay, you got something else you want to talk about?
I've got 15 items here.
Okay,
I've only
good.
done about,
Go.
Lynette, before you leave, one of the things I have on here, what is the status of this tape recorder? We had someone was looking for a tape recorder when I was in the office the other day. And I know Asha had one when she was taping the meetings, and somebody else had gone out and bought one.
I thought a recording secretary had one.
Well, that's what I'm trying to find
But
out.
I thought that
Where-
came-
and I know they have one.
I thought
so-
that came from HR.
This one was the one that I purchased for HR department because when we have those personnel that need to be transcribed, I wanted to have one that was specifically for that because those are really important and they have to follow very, very strict procedures. So I did have one for that because at one point we were looking for one. I had asked Asha to bring hers in and
Did she?
come to find, I don't know, and she didn't answer me anyway. I had asked, and Cheryl does have one in the drawer downstairs for the commissioners. So
Oh,
she does
okay.
have one downstairs in the drawer for the commissioners.
All right.
Well, yeah, well, partly, I'm more interested, we've gone out and we've purchased 3.
Did we purchase 3?
Well, 2, they bought one, they bought a new one
And there's one
downstairs.
downstairs.
I'd like to know whether
I-
Asher had brought hers back. if it was-
I thought the county owned the one that she was
That's what I
using,
thought,
but,
so we have to find that out.
okay.
And I think that is the only thing here on my list that Diana Gaynor non-public notes that were questioned were 918. I think we discovered that this morning, didn't we, Lynette?
9/18?
Yeah.
9/10.
910?
9/10.
September
10.
10th was the public hearing. Was the transcribed
September
minutes.
10th.
The 10th was the public hearing, and that was the,
We did this already.
Somebody last week was questioning
The
when.
hearing was on the 18th, the public one.
Okay.
The Wednesday before that at 2 o'clock. I'm guessing that's what the non-public session was, because all that was said was that it was an employee personnel hearing the Wednesday prior.
Yeah.
We had a non-public when we listened to the issue. Then we came back here and for another meeting and asked her if she wanted to be public or non-public.
Right.
And we had it down as non-public, and she said she wanted it to be public.
Yep,
And it came back to either the next trip was the full public one.
which was the 18th.
That was the 18th?
The 18th of September was the full public hearing.
So what you were looking for
And the
is
10th?
the minutes of the 10th, the non-public session on the 10th, right?
On the 10th, yeah,
No.
yeah.
Well, yeah, but there was no,
That's
it
only
didn't
8
happen.
days in between. The week before that, they came in and we sat here and she said she wanted a public meeting and we thanked them and went
Right,
home.
right.
So that
And
had
that
to
was
have
it.
been, that wasn't,
That was on the,
that wasn't 2 days before the 18th.
I say it was the 10th.
The 10th.
Okay, well then when was the very first one?
The very first one was the 27th of August.
Oh, okay, well
We had
nobody
that
mentioned the
earlier.
27th of August.
So you need
That's
minutes
crazy.
from the 27th of August?
Not
No.
looking for any minutes.
Well, Asha,
Asha was
Commissioner Kenney
questioning, Commissioner Kenney was questioning, and that's her answer, whatever. The non-public minutes she has in her folder down in the safe. She's in charge of them.
And the 29th, there was a meeting on the 29th.
September?
I've got
August.
27th of August, 10th of September, and 18th of September.
You're exactly right.
It's 29th.
I've got it at 2 PM on the
Yeah.
29th.
Yep.
And which one does that replace? They weren't in here
There was
4 times.
one that was scheduled, and she was gonna be in Florida or something, and we canceled it, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, I have the 27th and the 29th,
So there was one on the 27th, and there was one on the 29th.
okay?
2 days later?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
no.
Yeah, I think there was. I got it in my date book. I didn't see it before, but.
Yes.
So
You're
I
telling
look-
me they came in, we said it was gonna be a public meeting, we posted it as a non-public meeting, and David asked her if she wanted it to be public. She said yes. You're telling me that we all went home and came back 2 days later?
No,
I don't remember
no,
that.
no. Look, the complete hearing was done on the 18th of September.
The complete.
That was a
no-
public
public,
hearing,
okay.
public. The
We have-
one on the 10th of September was where she came in and I asked, does she want it non-public or public? And she said she wanted it
That-
public.
Now that makes sense.
That's
yeah,
the
which
10th.
is a week earlier.
Okay. But there was one before that,
And you said that was the 27th of August.
or the 29th. I got it both places.
The
Okay.
29th, the Commissioner Chairman requested to reschedule the non-public originally scheduled for today for this matter, and to schedule it on the 10th.
Yeah.
Yep. I have the non-public draft that just needs Commissioner Kenney's.
For the 29th?
29th.
Okay.
It just needs Commissioner Kenney's, like, she does the times, she keeps the times and stuff. I have the draft so that she can have it and complete it.
Okay. So that takes care of the 29th, non-public.
Yep.
Now what about the 10th?
That was the one we came in and went home.
but you still have to have minutes from that, even if
Yeah.
all it says is we came in and then we went home.
Yeah.
And
And who was here?
Asha, I think Asha should have the times for that one, just stating.
We had posted a non-public meeting, and we talked about something in public. And then we had to correct it the following week. Did that have anything
No,
to
we
do with it?
didn't- No, then we
Wasn't
had
it?
the non-public, and we got wound up and ended up in public, and it should have been non-public, and we came back
The following week.
Friday. No, it wasn't the following week, it was 2 days later, it was in the afternoon, because Asha said she wouldn't come because we'd already done it once.
Yeah, that's
You and
true.
I came back and made it public what happened in the, Ed had tape recorded it, so it was the same thing all over again.
Yep.
So did we determine what the 27th was of August? Because
I think that was a delayed,
No, I think
I don't think she
that-
could make it.
Right, but I think you heard. I think you heard information on that day. I'll go back through the notes.
All right.
But I think you heard information on that day. And then on the 29th was when we actually met.
Okay. All right. Let's move on.
Okay, that's that one. Tape recorder. For the record, on the, we received from Mr. Bulio last Friday a note that he had finally received the information that he needed from the New Hampshire retirement system, that he expects to have the whole thing quote-unquote spiral bound and in our hands by the end of this week, the audit and the financial statements for 2010. I wrote to Representative Cordelli and sent him that portion of the email from Bolduc that said
Okay.
that. So they're well aware, so we finally got that going.
Okay.
Hale's location, at that candidates forum they had,
Yep.
I was approached and they want to have and I think maybe.
A commissioners meeting
Commissioners meeting.
or a Hales location meeting?
They said a commissioners meeting.
So it's just like we have here, except it's gonna be up there.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, do we do it at night or do we do it in the morning?
And where do we have it?
Hale's location,
On the golf course?
sure, with the ninth hole, green.
They normally have their annual meeting at the hotel.
Yep. I think it's something we ought to do once a quarter. We are their selectmen.
as selectmen though, not
Yeah.
as the commissioners.
Well, but not as commissioners, though. If we wanna,
They want to have a commissioners meeting so they can come in and talk to us as their selectmen.
They want to have a selectmen's meeting.
they wanna have a selectmen's meeting, not a commissioners meeting.
Okay, well, call it what you want, we'll have a selectmen's meeting.
The last time I was there, Commissioner Kenney and I were there, which
You went
was
to the
a
annual
couple of
meeting.
years ago. That was the annual meeting, and they had asked us to attend and to speak, which I did. But that was the last time. So
They obviously haven't forgotten you.
we want to have a selectmen's meeting at Hales location. When do you propose such a time?
I'm available, anything but, oh, that's another thing that I got, number 15.
And at the selectmen's meeting, what are we going to discuss?
I don't know, Mr. Chairman, all I know is the lady said to me they would like very much to have us come out.
Okay, you got a date? I have no problems in
You name it.
having a meeting here. But you know, it's the wrong time of year because of our budget. If we have it, you know when the delegation is meeting?
10.
Is it the 10th?
This is number 15 that I just put down right this minute. Let's skip back just a bit. Last night in the Cooperative Extension meeting, they're going to have their breakfast for the new representatives that they've had for the last 2 years. This will be the third annual eat 'em up at the nursing home. And they got out their book and it says December 10th, and somebody looked it up, and that's a Wednesday.
That's a Wednesday.
So I called up Representative Umberger, she wasn't home, and left a message.
I bet it's the
that-
8th.
I'm just telling you. So I called up Representative Umberger, and and told her that it seemed like a strange date. The people at the meeting that night were wondering why it was a Wednesday. I'm wondering because we've only met with commissioners' meetings for the last 10 years on Wednesday morning or more at 8:30. Would she please call me back? If she got in before 9 o'clock, well, she obviously didn't get in before 9 o'clock. She didn't call back. But there is, I can't believe she didn't mean the 8th, but everything that she's published and sent out says the 10th.
I would suggest we hold the selectmen's meeting at Hale's location in December, either the 10th or the 17th. That's after our budget is in.
And you want to do it at the same time as a commissioners meeting?
Well, our budget is all in at that point in time.
Well, the only thing I'm thinking of is if it's a commissioners meeting and we want to talk to all these people, they got to drive up to Hale's location. Why don't we go as the selectmen like you
This
suggested?
is not a commissioners meeting, this is a selectmen's meeting.
Okay,
So
That answers
nobody's
the
gonna
question.
drive from here up there.
that's right.
So let's see what date the delegation is meeting, and we'll have it the following week. Selectmen's
But the
meeting.
2 dates you've named are 2 days when we have commissioners meetings. You want to finish up, you drive down here,
You
go to
wanna
the
do it
meeting and
on a-
turn around, drive up to Hale's.
You wanna do it
location?
on a Monday, the
Well,
15th?
That makes more sense to me.
All right. Monday on the 15th you wanna do it at night?
9 o'clock or 9:30, isn't that, 10 o'clock, isn't that enough time?
In the morning?
Are you talking about the morning or at night?
I ain't driving home here at midnight, so it's gotta be.
9 o'clock
Yeah.
at Hale's location on the
9 or 10, I
15th?
don't care which.
9 o'clock.
Guess
9
who-
a.m.
Guess who lives the closest and doesn't care? What's the date you got?
15th, Monday, 9 a.m., Selectmen's meeting at Hale's location.
And I will have Cheryl call up Kathy and set it up,
Okay?
okay?
Yep. What's the other items?
Tape recorder we took care of. I got a thing down there from Bob Murray about hiring somebody to put a 15-yard container out here to collect all of the stuff that's gonna go to the dump. It's very expensive. I did some looking around.
It was $600, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then time if we,
And we got 2 weeks to do it in. And he was gonna do it after he came back from vacation when he had more time.
okay, well, I got a price for $290 and $20 cheaper on the dumping fee and something else, so we gotta make sure it's all right with him.
I don't care who does it, but it needs to get done.
Okay,
I don't want him to say, well, we haven't cleaned it up because we didn't have time to get a dumpster. Let's get a dumpster. If it's $290 and it's there for 2 weeks, give him time to clean out all the stuff. He said he could easily fill up a dumpster. And I believe it after walking through. I spent a couple hours with him walking through, and he does need more space, no question about it. But he's got to clean out the dining room especially, and there's other rooms. I cannot see holding on to mattresses. I always thought there was a law about using used mattresses. And God, if we're going to use it in a nursing home, we're just going to spread whatever disease there might be on the mattress. We got mattresses. If he wants to keep 4 or 5, that's fine, and recover them, but let's get rid of all of them.
okay.
All right? What else you got?
And then we have some for.
You worked that out with him?
I will.
Okay.
We have yet to learn anything about the nepotism policy, the update on the non-public meetings. We have not received the personnel evaluations from Commissioner Kenney that are long overdue. And the last thing I have here is the action list. Have I missed any? Did you find out why it couldn't be printed out?
Yeah, and I sent it back downstairs, but she must not have gotten my email. The bank account reconciliations for August and September.
Yep, that'll be Ted's, will be taken care of.
Okay. And on the RFP for the addition to the piggery, do you know if that's gone out yet?
I gave him a name of somebody in North Conway that does that kind of a thing on a small, they've done 3 projects for me.
Is it going out
we
to
call-
advertise bid?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
but we also called a couple of cement people to come in and look at the job and give Will some ideas and so that when he writes the
Oh,
quote, but it will be going out for bid.
So it's just still in progress.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll just update it right now. You talked about the dump truck earlier, so
Yeah.
that's all set. The managed care letter. The response to Sandra Brokar, that list of 10 questions, that's
We got
just
that right
still
here.
That's
in
gotta be done.
progress, right?
Yep. Well, I don't know, we haven't started yet.
Okay.
Should be in progress.
No, that's all
Okay.
I see on
We
here.
cleaned that list up pretty well, haven't we?
Yeah, doing good.
All right, let's work on this list. You got yours?
Yeah, I do somewhere, Dave.
Easy one. When could space be made available for the kitchen? Immediately. Within a week of notification or something like
Dave,
that?
why don't, for the tape, why don't you read the question so that
Okay.
people know what we got?
I said, when could the space be made available?
What questions are you looking at? My first one is the existing equipment.
Okay, I jumped to an easy one. All right, go ahead.
Is the existing equipment and accessories included in the lease terms? If not, what compensation does the county expect for this equipment? We haven't gotten to the point where we've even thought about a lease or what it would be, correct?
Well, we're not going to tear it out, so it's just a case of whether we're going to request something for it. I think we
I would-
include that in the
It
rent.
would be included in the rent price,
Yeah.
wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Okay, I put down included in rent. Now, you want to you read the easy question?
what leasehold capital costs are expected to be borne by the lessee? What leasehold capital costs are expected to be borne by the county? Are they talking about utilities?
I would think we're
Like
talking
electric?
about renovating it so that it's either a turnkey operation when they walk in, it works, or whether it has to be,
I don't think we're going to renovate it.
no, I would think it'd be done by the leasee.
Yeah,
I'd like to see us do it, but. When could the space be made available?
within 2 weeks' notice, within a week's notice.
No.
No? What do you want to make it?
Well, first of all, if we got, a lot of the equipment's been removed that they might want to use, so they got to replace it, or else we have to replace it, and I don't know what goes in there. Yeah, can we wash it down and clean it out within 2 weeks? Sure. But is everything else there that's needed?
I say they take it as it exists, and they can clean it and do whatever they want to do with it.
Okay, so the answer would be space made available immediately, turned over to leasee to renovate. Okay?
Does the county insurance policy place any restrictions on any particular activities or private use of the space?
Can't answer
I
that.
can't answer that one right now.
Is the minimum lease term years the county is willing, is there a minimum lease terms that the county is willing to consider? Is the county open to proposals for different term lengths?
Yes. Yes.
Are there any access restrictions? Time of day, vehicle size,
and so
etc.?
forth.
Yes, no tanks, no armored cars.
All right.
What's the answer? No?
Time of day, no. If they get a key, I mean, they're gonna be doing things at
It's their
night, I would
place, right?
assume. That what?
It's their place, I can't, vehicle size, that doesn't make any difference. I'd say no.
No.
Are there any restrictions on the type of food-related activities or the types of food production in the kitchen?
Produced in the kitchen? I think it all depends on the smell.
Why?
If there's other people like probation in there, I don't think they'd like to have a chicken plucking process going on across the corridor.
Hopefully they'd be plucked before they got there.
Who knows?
I can think, garlic or something like that.
Are there
Puts
any
out a real
restrictions?
smell might be
I think it's negotiable.
that's a good.
Why don't you put
reason.
down there negotiable?
Okay.
What is the water source? County. Is there any known limitation on water consumption? Not in that particular case.
Well, there may be because, they have that 20,000 gallon a day limit. You have to start reporting every day if you go over it. And we're approaching that with what we have now. That was one of the questions with the veterans housing.
Yeah. But they're not going to use, I don't believe, enough water that's going to affect our system. And maybe,
Well, if it puts us over the 20,000 gallon a day average, the DES requires a whole new set of permits.
I gave you that form, I thought it was 29,000 gallons.
I don't believe so. I think it was 20.
Okay,
I would put down possibly.
okay.
What aspects of the decision-making process for filling the kitchen space would the county take leadership of? Which aspects would they expect leadership from others?
What aspects of the decision-making process for filling the kitchen
I
space
want to be the one that decides how
Would the
big the
county-
chocolate chip cookies are.
take leadership of? Which aspects would they expect leadership from others?
I don't think we have any.
I don't
They
think so.
rent it and they want to make jelly or jam or pies or whatever, that's up to them. Isn't that why we're renting it to them?
Mm-hmm.
I put none we can think of immediately.
All right, sounds good to me. I told Bob Murray to move maybe that's it right there. To move that over across the hall.
Do you have right there, Melissa, do you have the colored copy that I gave you of the page?
Okay, what else we got?
Oh, wait a minute, I want to take a look at this, Dave. You said there's a colored photo here that you can see much better. What do you, oh,
I think it's that right there.
is that the,
That's in the dining room facility.
that was a drink, the ice maker
That's a refrigeration unit,
unit? Okay.
and that needs to go across the hall,
Oh, when you
Included-
say across the hall, you mean back into the kitchen?
back
not-
into the kitchen.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. I thought you meant it had to come out of the kitchen.
no.
That's it for me.
Okay, I guess that's, I don't think I have anything else. You have anything else, Melissa?
Do I need to step out as a member of the public, or can I ask some questions?
No, ask
You
a
can
question.
Right from there.
Okay. When the Register of Deeds was presenting her budget, she referenced that pink piece of paper, that it's like a directive for how to, when to submit her budget by, and that the commissioners recommend that she-
2%.
Did I miss a vote this year on that? Where the commissioner said that keep it at 2%. Did I miss that recommendation this year? I remember it last year.
No, I think we just sat here in a discussion and said there was gonna be 2%, didn't we?
I just didn't have it
Or
in
did
the
you make
minutes
it up?
anywhere. So I wanted to make sure I,
Kathy Gary put it out,
okay,
and I told her 2%.
okay.
Yeah, that's how it is. You told her and she put it out, that's right.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss it, if it was discussed,
You want to vote on it, Commissioner?
No, I think 2% is, I think that's reasonable. The head of the delegation wants a level funded. We have 3 contracts coming up. We have health insurance going up by 8 or 9%. You can be sure that the Department, Bureau of Elderly and Adult Services, they went up $400,000 last year, $300,000 the year before that, and $250 or $300 the year before that. I don't think there's any signs that it's gonna go down this coming year.
I think if Ed gets elected, that would be a good one for him to grab a hold of.
And she wants
Nobody
to-
else on the delegation seems to want to do
That's right.
anything
Ed
about
would-
that.
Ed would be an excellent person to handle that. He knew, he could go in there, he doesn't have any previous prejudice,
No.
he could go in, go right to work on it. and
You
get
got
some
anything else
answer.
from the public?
I don't know how to ask this question. Does the county have a tax rate yet?
No.
Why?
Because it's set by DRA.
Well, the towns are waiting to.
Waiting for it?
Are waiting for the
Yes.
county. So why are they
Yeah.
waiting for the county?
When did the towns approve it? They approve it in March, right? To pay the county dollars.
Well, they can't get their tax rate setting appointments until DRA has all the information from the county and the school districts. So none of the it's my understanding that none of the towns in the county even have appointments to set their tax rates yet because the county hasn't.
We've sent the information in. I think the latest is that the information was given to Mr. Bolio, and I think that the DRA is questioning Mr. Bolio's answers on that form. I just heard about it Friday from Mrs. Umberger.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it.
Because I thought that they just based it on the MS 42, which is the appropriations and revenue that were actually voted on in March.
That's right.
So it's just a matter of taking what the delegation approved and putting it on a form and sending it in. I don't know
Apparently,
why
there
the
was some,
accountant's
I
involved.
believe there was some unhappiness in the way that Mr. Bolio filled it out.
Okay.
That's all I know. I mean, I just heard about it, that Conway and Bartlett had contacted Representative Umberger, and,
You might hear from some of your constituents. I guess that's why I was
Okay.
bringing that up.
Okay.
The,
I don't see why we can't send, if we haven't already, maybe we have, send in what we've done every year. Why do we need Bolio, the auditor?
I don't know how he got involved. That's
It's a
just, and I
very-
could
Does
be
he have to
100%
fill it
wrong,
out?
but this is all I hear.
It's a very, very simple 5-page form. It just says,
Okay, I'll check on it when we go
It tells you
downstairs.
public safety is expensed, or,
yeah, that's
it's a simple
it's
form.
very general.
Okay.
The probation lease, is there a delegation meeting scheduled for?
Commissioner Babson can fill you in on that?
I
We
don't know.
are in the process, of going through the whole process again.
Oh, okay.
They just went out, they just sent the bid out again because they realized that it couldn't get done by December 1st. Apparently, they made some arrangement where they are and they can stay until the middle of the year, next year.
Okay.
I filled in a form, sent back expressing interest in renting it to them. Now we're waiting for them to set up an appointment and come and look at the same thing they looked at 6 months ago.
But so they have a month in Wolfboro until
Apparently,
something
I don't know
else.
what their deal is with Wolfboro.
So there's
But
no
they have
rush.
to, I have to assume that's what it is.
You want to check to see if that letter was sent for the intent?
I checked
them?
with Cheryl and she said, yes, she sent it.
Okay. What else you got?
I just wondered, about getting the third quarter county financials online? Right now, it's the third quarter just closed 3 weeks ago.
We want to get a financial statement first.
Okay.
That's
Well, you're asking
That's
for
a
the budget.
priority.
I'm just asking for the regular, you know.
She's just
the-
asking for the regular printout there at the end of the third quarter, not any,
Just-
Yeah.
that form.
You know, this
Okay.
thing that Kathy does, this thing, and the updated revenues that are not past June. One of the things the delegation asked at the October 6th meeting is the water and sewer department self-sustaining, and if not, how can it get there?
You been rehired by the paper?
What?
Have you been rehired by the paper?
No, I'm a walking action item list.
I think if you look at the budget for the water department,
Yeah.
there are policies of what they have to pay per quarter, and also a user fee. We need to review that again. What is used down there, we can meter, we know where the meter is, the leaves are complex. And then the rest of it is picked up by each individual building. I will say that I just got an item where they were going to shut off my utility because I hadn't paid last month's bill, and they were going to disconnect it the first part of November.
I bet you paid.
I paid. It's in the mail. But it leads me back to the deal about shutting the water off of a customer down in the village. Our policy says if they don't pay their bills, then it's subject to disconnect. And that's what we did. We need to check, I will check downstairs as to see how things are progressing as to the people that are paying the bill down in the district
They've
for the
done
water.
very well. They don't have any late ones.
That's what I understand. I guess I gotta see it in writing. We've heard,
We put Cheryl a hammer on the case and get cleaned up very quickly.
now as far as the septic system being self-supporting, that's gonna be an expense no matter how you figure it.
Why the septic system? They're not on the septic system down there.
No, I'm not talking about that.
You just
Yeah,
said septic system.
I said septic system. Is it self-sustaining? Well, if we quit doing our business, we wouldn't have to have one.
So maybe what she meant was just the water system.
Question,
It doesn't
I
make
think,
sense
was
to
the-
figure it
they-
into
Nobody
the-
They look
pays.
at the thing and think it's all the same thing. It's
Yeah.
the water system. There is no septic being taken care of downtown by the county.
No.
Which brings me up to another issue here. And we made 90 more calls last year than we made the year before up here.
For the fire department?
Fire department and rescue. Everybody screams and yells about fairness around here, around the county. Can someone explain to me why, can you, Mr. Chairman, why it's fair for the residents of the Ossipee Village Fire Precinct to foot the entire bill for all fire and rescue for the nursing home?
They have a separate ambulance contract.
Hmm?
Does that count?
Is it ambulance?
They have a separate ambulance contract, the county does, directly with the ambulance provider. Does that count? Or-
The ambulance comes up here from there, but every time the ambulance comes up here, our personnel comes up now, and now we have 3 people working full-time down at the firehouse as a result of the number of calls. And I don't think that we should complain too much, except I don't understand why we charge them for water after the people in the fire precinct are the only ones out of 38,000 residents of Carroll County that pay for that service. Amen. So
So-
much for fairness.
So are you
I take it
suggesting,
under consideration.
are you suggesting that no one in the district gets charged for their water? Or
No,
just
the
fire
fire,
department?
just the fire department,
Fire department gets charged the same as anybody else down in the village.
yes.
They wash their cars, they wash their fire trucks.
Well, they
People
gotta
don't-
wash their fire trucks, but they don't wash their car, that stopped a long time ago. Part of providing is having the vehicles so that they run, and we have to wash them to keep them in good condition.
Yeah.
And, maybe we ought to think about just hauling it in 5-gallon pails from down in the brook and do it, but
I brought
you'd
this
rather
up,
have us pay for it.
I brought it up a couple of years ago to the previous Board of Commissioners about the impact that the county has on the town of Ossipee, and I put together a brochure and everything all these little neat facts that I found, and basically the answer was.
I still got it.
Thank you. The answer was if the fire department doesn't pay for the water, the taxpayers are still funding it, so they're still paying for it.
Instead of
If the
instead of the district down there paying for it, everybody in the county would be paying for it.
That's the idea.
The taxpayers are still paying for it, so.
Yeah.
Well,
But then it got into, well, what about maintaining County Farm Road? Why does town of Ossipee do that?
Right. Why don't they
isn't
tar a
the
portion
jail
of that road?
driveway fixed, so they have to keep coming back and fixing the highway
well, if
department?
I had my way, that's another argument, but you can answer that by the fact that we do pay taxes to the town of Ossipee, and Ossipee has a responsibility to fix the road. We
Well-
do not pay a penny to the Ossipee Village Fire Precinct in any way, shape, or manner. The money from the town that we pay in taxes doesn't go to the fire precinct at all. It comes out of the few people that live in Ossipee Village. And fairness is apparently is defined as everybody else gets a free ride except the people in Ossipee Village.
If the fire department doesn't pay for the water, then the rate goes up for everybody else on the water system.
Yep.
So either way, those people are still paying extra.
They pay extra, but also the people in the precinct that don't use any of the water, we're paying for, we don't use the water. We don't use the
We've
water
gotta-
coming
we-
down to
Either
the
spreading it
house.
out
We've-
across the precinct, or you're just gonna
Precinct.
We've got a
make
meter.
the people on the system
Got
pay
a
for
meter
it.
on the water pipe that leaves the complex.
Right.
Everybody in the village has to pick up that cost. Whether it's the fire department, or whether it's a homeowner, or what have you.
Mhm.
So, if the fire department doesn't want to pay, and all these other people in that district wants to pay the fire department's share, sure, we can do that.
So why do the people down on the end of Brown Ridge Road that are 10 miles from here,
That's their choice.
well, it's the people in the village, it's their choice to live there too and have the public water system.
It's by choice.
Well, fine.
Okay?
Fairness is having Ossipee Village pay for everything.
I just wanted, one other thing that I
Go ahead.
had thought of, when you were talking about the IT committee and separating out the IT costs, thanks to Commissioner Babson's $100 internet connection in this room, I just verified some information.
What did he pay for?
$66.
Is that what it was? For the wireless internet in here? I said thank you
He
to.
paid extra for it?
No, I said thank you to him for making that, pushing that to happen in this room, because while you were talking, I was doing some research
Yeah.
online.
Yeah,
One of the things that I hope you would consider is that in Stratford County, 65% of their IT budget for the entire complex
Mhm.
is paid by Medicare.
Paid by Medicare
Yes.
because the connections to the nursing home?
It's based on how many, their census at the nursing home. I mean, I think that percentage can fluctuate, how much of the total IT budget is paid, but I think it's worth looking into. So, it just,
Because that gentleman did.
it's reported as an administrative cost on their Medicaid cost report. Because a lot of the IT is focused on the nursing home, there's a lot going on.
Right.
But they also include in Stratford, fax machines, copiers, telephones,
Mm-hmm.
all
Okay.
of it. They don't
just look at
It's
the
a separate
computers.
budget?
And they have a full-time IT person and a part-time, or a employee. So they have a director and an employee. I don't know if they have any part-time people under that.
Yep.
That the whole information technology budget is under the nursing home
Under
down
a
there.
nursing home?
Yes.
Really?
So if you,
Is that, I wonder, that they can get more federal dollars for the nursing home if it's under the nursing home budget?
I think that the cost of IT support for the nursing home can then be offset, which is the bulk of their IT cost. Because it's under the nursing home, you can count it as administrative costs on your Medicaid cost report, apparently. And if 65% of their IT budget is paid that way, it's worth exploring, I think. And it also apparently doesn't matter if you have an employed department or if you contract for it, like we do.
It's still IT, so.
It's still IT, it's still administrative support,
cost.
so. I just wanted to, because it's an expensive thing, so.
You got any other good advice?
Yes, but not for camera, yeah.
Okay, not for camera. Okay. Ed, you got any public input
I'll save all my input for next week.
for next week? Okay. Nothing else to be
No,
brought up?
we got to go out and call Lynette and have Kathy
We gotta
Gary
have
come
a-
up with a reconcile sheet.
Yep, and we've got to have a non-public, right?
Oh, yes, we got a non-public meeting.
All right, so wait a minute. You make a motion that we go into non-public. Well, there's no public input, we've had it. So now we're going to go into non-public for,
Well, the discussion of
Reputation?
the reconcile to find out whether it's done or not is certainly public. Whether anything happens after that might be non-public because it would affect somebody's reputation.
all right,
So we need to have someone come up and either tell us they've done it or they haven't done it. Right?
you going to go get somebody?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll recess until you come back. Commissioner Babson asked for the reconciliation bank statements for September and August and September.
I asked for August, but we
We
can
have
get
both of
September
them?
too. Oh, good, good. And the reason, one of the factors in the performance audit was that we weren't keeping track of our reconciliation very well. And so Kathy and I get together, she agreed on I came up with two forms. We discussed it, Kathy agreed that one was better than the other, and said it would look all right, and so we started, get a little overlap. We started with August, and now we have September. These will go in a book, and there'll never be any question whether
It's
they
reconciled
were
or not?
reconciled or not. It shows the statement date, the date the statement was received. For instance, the August one, the statement date was 8/29. It was received 9/5, and the beginning balance and the closing balance, and we know it's done. And that's, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different banks. 2 of them are quarterly, so we won't get any reporting on those until a quarter. But this will certainly, and Kath, why on here is there no Mountain View Community
Because this, you
Transfer?
only wanted ours,
What?
the bank accounts that we have.
Do they have them?
The nursing home has bank accounts, the sheriff's department, the registry of deeds, the jail, so.
Okay, well, I'll make up a form for each one of those, and we do the same thing for every department. Right?
Yeah, this doesn't show the total, right?
No,
Okay, I guess we
That's
have to
just
do that too.
that's just us. But we can work on a sheet that would.
Well, thank you very much, and can you put that in a three-ring notebook so that anybody wants to check it, they can find out that we've done it?
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
On your way out, well, no, we'll take care of it.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that, Kathy, thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem.
Okay, we need to go into non-public.
Yes. I'll make a
And
motion.
We need to go into non-public for reputation, I think,
Yep.
which is RSA 91A32C,
I'll second the motion.
reputation of any person other than a member of the public body. You second the motion?
Yep.
Roll call?
Commissioner Sorensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Babson?
Yes.
Can we, for this, for this non-public session, have Melissa take the minutes?
If she'll guarantee when we get out of here, she'll sign, get downstairs, she'll sign the confidentiality agreement.
There's a
That you wouldn't discuss anything that's discussed in the session of non-public?
You know, that you can be fired and not sue us if it's discovered that you did.
You can't disclose non-public information.
It's going to check on it. All those, well, we already voted, so we're now in non-public. Ed's going to check on the penalty for divulging any non-public
Is that right?
information.